Jesus walked. Jesus walked with
Blessings, and good evening. Let me start this right. Let me get me on the screen. Blessings, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Grace Live. Tonight, we're going to be getting into the Nolan Wells case. Okay, guys? If you don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace, and I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm a separatist, which means I separate from the BS and I choose God first. Okay. So, with that being said, today what I plan on doing is doing a deep dive into the Nolan Wells case. I have a lot of things to show you guys, and my focus is to present the facts. So we can be focused on the facts. And there's some really important things that we need to focus on. So we're going to kind of slow cook on this tonight. I want to say thank you so much for being here with me. If you don't know who I am, just give me a chance, take a listen, and we're going to make it happen. I have a copy of the police report. We're going to go over the GPS data and the progression of that, as well as we're going to hear from Nolan Wells' mother, because it's very important to remember the sequence of events. And there were some important things that Nolan Wells' mother shared about what happened to her when she was trying to obtain things like the keys, his car, and a little bit. I think she went in just a little bit about receiving a phone call. Also, we're going to get into Tatum's interview. Okay, the last time I went live, I was having service issues, so we're going to go over all three. Well, two interviews and the one where he was on the island taking a little vacation. We're going to watch that and hear what Warren has to say and just kind of like just cook. So thank you for being here with me. Let's start today's live by one giving love and blessings to Nolan Wells. So I happen to be, scrolling, and this is from Christian for White, and I believe that's someone that may be connected to Nolan. So he was sharing real life pictures of Nolan. So if you guys do know me or you don't, this is something that I like to do at first, is humanize the situation, because I am going to be really frank and direct. And with that being said, like I said, I'm going to pull my emotions out of it, but I want to send love and blessings to this young man who is 18. And from what I understand, his birthday is coming up and he was supposed to be turning 19. So let's look at a few of these pictures, because Nolan do have some black friends, okay? And allegedly, and when I say allegedly, these are things that's not proven, that his friends told him to be careful that day. Okay. So this is Nolan Wells in his house, and now as you can see, has a house full of boys, and we're watching this too for a reason. I hope you guys can hear me. To make sure my mic is good. We're watching this for a reason too, because there was some things that Warren said that was kind of alarming. So we do know that he has boys that come to his house. He has friends that come to his house. So let's just keep that in mind. All right, we're gonna go through a few more of these pictures. God bless this young man. And this is why we're doing this tonight, so we can stay focused, because there has been a lot of distractions, which you know how it goes. When we have something that happened in the black community, they send COINTELPRO, then they send somebody to infiltrate it, then a whole lot of bickering and arguing and non-focus. So with that goes to say, Nolan, we on it. Okay. Love and blessings to him, because there's been a lot of young men that hasn't been making it to the age of 19 related to situations like this. All right. Love and blessings to Nolan. All right. So we're about to get to it, guys. Now, one of the things that I wanted to share is I I do believe that the pressure is on, and it's a reason why the people who are under fire is asking for a little bit of money. And it's a little bit of weird. It's weird to me, because I believe that Warren's father, you have to correct me because there's some things that I'm not too well rounded on, but you guys can correct me. Warren father put up $50,000 to find out more information. So here is the, I guess, the GoFundMe that they have up, and this is a fundraiser that they had launched because it says a fundraiser has been launched for some of the young men who were with Nolan the day of the disappearance, saying they and their family has been hit with weeks of death threats, doxing, harassment, public accusation. The fundraiser claims these families now need legal help as they continue to face intense scrutiny online. Whether you agree with it or not, this case has taken a turn that a few people saw coming. Okay, one teenager is gone. Multiple families say their life has been changed forever. So, at this point, it looks like, based on this post, that they have raised almost $87,000 with a goal of $100,000, and this is allegedly to help them with their legal costs. But it's weird because if this is related to Warren and his father, how do you put up 50,000 and then you partake allegedly, because I'm gonna have to say allegedly, in a fundraiser? So I think the pressure is on, as far as one, they're trying to keep their reputation. Two, they may need some legal help. And I'm saying may because we're dealing with Mississippi. All right. We're gonna get to that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is get into one of the first few interviews that Nolan Wells' mother and father have done, so we can listen for details of what they say. We do have the other interviews that we're going to put up too as well, because they say she talks about key situations related to Nolan Wells' keys and the car situation. Now, I wasn't able to find the interview with her friend Miss T, because I don't want to say her name wrong, but I couldn't find an interview. But she was on an interview and she talked about her experience. So if I happen to find that, I'll share with you on another live. But right now, let's just get to this. Let's play this real quick.
We can do as parents is hope that our local authorities do a thorough investigation, but also, again, the reason why, we have asked for additional, things with our legal team. Transparency is important. Since we started this, that is all we asked for. And it's just a lot of things with this case that's going on that's not clear. I know locally it's being pushed that, oh, it's likely a drowning. Well, you have all these other things that have kind of happened in between, and it makes you wonder, could there be anything else? And again, like I've stated this time and time again, I would expect any parent or person to want to use any resources available to them to find their loved one. This was our baby boy, I birthed him. So I would not be able to sleep at night. I mean, I can't right now, definitely we can't, but I definitely would not be able to, knowing that I didn't do everything as his mother to ensure that I knew what happened to him. And that's all we're asking for, is we're asking for answers.
Elmore, speaking of parents, a mother of one of Nolan's friends who was with him that day released a statement. Let me read part of it. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family.
Now, can we just back up a little bit? Maybe this was a misstatement, because what we're going to do is really cook, okay? Did you hear what he said? He said a mother of someone that was there. Let's just listen to that real quick, because these are some things that we need to pay attention to, because I'm just trying to figure out what adults was around and how the investigators are handling the adults. There is something alarming to me in the police report as far as how they handled the adults who owned the boat that we're going to get into. So this is
to ensure that I knew what happened to him. And that's all we're asking for, is we're asking for answers.
Elmore, speaking of parents, a mother of one of Nolan's friends who was with him that day released a statement. Let me read part of it. No one in our family is trying in any way to impede with the investigation by law enforcement or to otherwise hamper the family and law enforcement's quest for answers. Warren was interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends. I know that there are parts of that narrative you say just
All right. So, correction. We're just going to make sure that we say the right thing here. This is Miss Ashley Cole, the judge, who made this statement. And again, I'm just a little surprised that she hasn't received any repercussions or penalties behind making a statement like this. And this is, in my opinion, impeding on an investigation, making a definitive statement for someone who's being investigated, and you're a judge. But I concede on that note, and we're going to finish listening.
don't add up. What do you make of the explanation that it was because of a pump malfunction that they left?
From a parent's point of view, well, from my point of view, if
Yes,
I was
from
in
yours.
this situation, Nolan would have got on the boat. I would have not left him there. If you come with me, you're going to leave with me. Because if anything happens to you and I was the one that brought you there, then I would be the one to have to answer to your parents. So I'm not going to leave anyone's child anywhere if I took them somewhere. Now, if they make the decision to go back after I bring them home, then that's a decision that child made then. But as far as me taking you there, you will come back with me. And if you put up any kind of struggle, give me a phone, let me call your parents so they can make you come. But I will not leave anyone else's child on an island. I will not leave anyone else's child stranded. So that, to me, that's not.
Is not copacetic, and it doesn't tip the hat at all. That's what you're trying to say. I totally understand as a parent.
You can give all you can give all the excuses you want, but you do not leave someone else's child anywhere
Thank you.
if they're in your care.
And Christine, again, to Elmore's point of having to answer to their parents, what have, if anything, these friends or their parents said to you about what happened?
So, of course, the children have expressed their condolences, and, Nolan was my best friend. That's what I keep hearing. Nolan was my best friend, but the way Nolan was, he would have made sure, right? And with any of his friends across the board, whether you're black, white, pink, purple, Nolan would have made sure, hey man, let's go. Like, hey man, come on, let's, we're done for the day type of deal. Mm-hmm. And once again, like I've said it before, Nolan just had such a big heart. That was a concern we always had, is that his heart was just too big. Because sometimes, and we would tell him, that type of love that you give to others is not always reciprocated. But the parents, again, they've offered, and I need to correct myself because I think yesterday in one of the interviews, I think I said that maybe none of them, I want to say 2 or 3 of them have reached out. Just the first one expressing her condolences, another one just saying, hey, give me a call if and when you're ready type of deal. And then another one just, sorry for your loss, but hey, we need to talk type of thing. And you know what? It hasn't, are we at a week? Like my brain is mush. We're all over the place emotionally. This has been a difficult situation. Like I cannot express how hard this has been on not just us as parents, but also his siblings.
And we're going to stop right there because no one is giving her time to grieve, but she's not going to be able, or him, her father is not going to be able to grieve if we can't find out what has happened. So I wanted to share that. We're going to move forward to how the pressure is on them. Let's play this real quick because this is up to right now. And we're going to get into more interviews with her so we can hear some details about key significant points in this investigation.
Earlier today, the family of Nolan Wells met with the district attorney who confirmed the investigation will eventually be turned over to a grand jury. They're still wondering what happened to the 18-year-old on the July 4th weekend. Let's bring in Anna Schechter, who runs our crime unit. She's joining us right now. Anna, so what are we learning about those new details in this case? What can you tell us?
Well, we actually have obtained new movement records, GPS data. Our Jared Eggleston and Skylar Henry down in Mississippi obtained this from a Mississippi entity, and it actually shows exactly where the boat left from when it arrived at Horn Island. You're seeing, as that scrolls down on your screen there, you're seeing that July 4th, that tracking movement, the vessel reaching Horn Island around 11:14 a.m. And then we also see when the boat left. Now, as we've been reporting, Nolan Wells was not on that boat, although his keys and phone were. And so we see the boat then go and actually dock at a different location, then drive overland to the home of the owners of the boat. So this is
all right. So we have more details about that. Okay, as far as if you know how investigations go, give me 1 second because I'm trying to get a good shot. If you know how investigations go, usually they'll have some information, and then you listen to other resources is more and more. So that's what we're going to show you. So some of the key things that I feel is very important, that's putting the pressure on his friends, or just people around that is not talking, is the GPS data. And it's more GPS data that we're going to go over, and the phone dispatch. And we're going to play a phone dispatch as well. And if you guys watch my other live, I couldn't really hear a lot when it came to the first few seconds, but I did hear, "Oh my God," very clearly. And then a few second time around, I heard, "Is he dead?" But there is a clip right now that I'm gonna show you in a few, that has a more clearer tone to it, as far as giving, I think, investigators a little bit more insight to what happened. But one of the things I do want to ask, and everybody is asking, is why is the DA or the prosecutor, whoever is moving forward with this case, why are they being so non-transparent with the family? And that's the question. That's why people don't trust what's going on right now. Okay, so that's big for me, because in any situation where it comes to a death, it comes to some type of police investigation, usually they're open to share their findings with the family. So it just doesn't make sense for me that they won't share it with the family, and maybe just put them on a gag order. But we're going to keep on, putting the pressure on them by making videos like this and making it happen. So let's just watch this real quick. The new subpoena that is issued. This is another pressure point now. And it's not ridiculous to me that they have to go this route. This is important. They can pull all his data. Whatever he had in that phone, and will be pulled up, because they have went to several social media platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, and I didn't even know people still use Snapchat like that. The Meta, so that's Facebook, and I believe any other associated apps. So this is a power move, I do believe, and it's something very important that we need to pay attention to for when the findings come, because obviously this is being pushed by the family. Okay, we don't even know what they're doing as far as the investigation with the prosecutors or the DA, because if they were doing this, I think they would be transparent with the family and wouldn't make them have to spend money to do this. So I truly believe they may not be doing the investigation properly, just because the way mom has to move. It just doesn't make sense. But let's just play this.
Breaking news at 6. Subpoenas have been issued in connection with the death investigation of Nolan Wells.
Yeah, the 18-year-old went missing after a boating trip with friends to Horn Island July 4th, and 2 days later, he was found dead. The Jackson County Chancery Court issued subpoenas Tuesday to 5 different apps and companies. Those include Life 360, Snapchat, Meta platforms, TikTok, and WhatsApp. The court is requiring all records, data, documents, and anything else regarding the accounts of Nolan Wells be released within 21 days. The request stemmed from claims social media sites and posts were altered or deleted after Wells was found dead at Horn Island. When Nolan Wells went missing, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department said Wells' friends had his cell phone. His mother, Christine Wansley, reported Wells missing after he went on that boating trip and didn't come back. His friends said Nolan chose to stay behind with a girl he'd met on the island who has not officially been identified. An independent autopsy listed Nolan's cause of death as undetermined pending further investigation. Local law enforcement and the Jackson County DA said their findings would not immediately be released to the public, but rather turned over to a grand jury.
So that's the next question. What are they turning over? Again, what are they turning over? Because even if they turn over the autopsy, what does that say? The grand jury is not making a determination on the autopsy because that's determined. If so that this is mind-boggling to me, and this is why we just have to keep pushing, guys. If you haven't seen, I did do a video about the autopsy and I went into details. To the people who are just watching me for the first time, I am a nurse. I have been a nurse for over 13 years. Sidebar, legal nursing consultant. I love to research, and I have a plethora of experience. And with that goes to say, go check out that video because I did use some references to back up what I was saying about the missing organs that wasn't sent to the next coronary pathophysiologist, as well as the possible abrasion on the back of the head. I went into that a little bit, as well as the missing throat area, talked about the thymus, which is like a record because, again, trauma that happened to your body, it sets off the inflammation process, and then those neutrophils are deposited in soft tissue. So just some facts about some of the things that should be presented to the grand jury. But again, I'm not an expert in these particular fields. I'm just a nurse that loves to research and provide you what facts I can find. So go check out that video, and let's just finish watching a little bit of this as we slow cook on the facts of this Nolan Wells case that needs to be focused on.
In a request to use sonar scans during the search for Wells, the State Department of Marine Resources listed in a document Wells had been drinking heavily. There was no attribution listed there.
So disrespectful. As you see, all of them was drinking heavily. So the next thing that this news broadcaster should have said was that, where was the adults? Where was the adults in this boat? I thought it was no drinking and driving just on a public freeway. But then you have teenagers, young adults driving while they're drinking a boat. There had to be some adults there. That's what I'm saying. It had to be. And the reason why I think it was some adults there is because of the police report that we'll get to in a second. So let's keep this thing moving. The pressure is being put on them with the GPS. We're going to get into the phone dispatch, and we're going to get into the interview. So we just talked about the subpoena, and this is a power move. This is a power move for me. Shout out to Miss Christine, his mother, and his stepdad, because they know how to make it happen. Like, they just moving. Now, before we get into the GPS, let's get into the Cajun Marine. I can't verify if this is the full interview, but we're going to watch what little part I can find about what he's saying, because I'm not too sure of his position. I'm still trying to figure out his MO. Was he really there to help? The reason why is because the way he tried to set up shop to go against Ben Crump. Now, let's talk about that just a little bit of the drama. Now, I think that he was one of the primary catalysts to set skepticism off with Ben Crump, even though the Black community, we already know that we have certain people, when it hit the fan, they're going to them, and we consider them, some of us consider them the boule. Some of them, we consider them the people who are, just getting in there to hustle. Point taken. I understand where you're coming from, but I will say this: Ben Crump, in the investigation he has been a part of, has made significant moves and have given us some benefit in the Black community when it comes to the loss of our children, our mothers, our fathers. the cases that he was on. So I have to give him respect on that note, because again, it's sad that it takes one person or just a few people to get the ball rolling that mainstream will put out there, or us too, that will pay attention. Because the average person like me come out and just talk about this. If I was just a person on the case, you wouldn't really pay attention. That's why Ben Crump had to put those other cases in and construe with Mr. Nolan case, so people can pay attention to the other drowning. Because the other drowning with the other lady, that was like in June, and she's been trying to fight for them to be transparent and put charges on the boys that was connected to her son's death. So but that goes to say, that's how I feel about Ben Crump and them. I already know that we have the boule and the controllers that is doing certain things to navigate our feelings, what be put in front of us. But at the end of the day, you already see what is they call this legacy media could do. So y'all just keep pushing and stay focused. So when they pushing these narratives like what I'm about to show you here, I think he probably said it in here, but if he didn't, you remember he basically talks about Ben Crump not responding to him for wanting to do a search on the people boats with the dog. My thing is very important, just like has been brought up. That is not Ben Crump's position. That is not his authority. He cannot force those people to do that. And when you look at the police report, we're just going to skim through, but I'm going to highlight some things. The police, sure enough, didn't try to do that. And they had access to the boat at least twice. So, with that goes to say, I don't know how to take this man. Is he a deterrer, or did he really have the Nolan family best interest in mind?
We are hearing from the mother of one of the boys who was with Nolan Wells before he disappeared. Wells was last seen on July 4th after taking a boat trip to Horn Island and was found dead off the coast of Mississippi Monday morning. Multiple agencies helped to end the search, including the Coast Guard, National Park Service, and the United Cajun Navy.
Those two guys went out to Horn Island. They went on the island. They canvassed around. They went and ran a grid with the boat, put the drone up, looking for any signs of Nolan. Did not find anything. By late afternoon, some weather was moving in offshore. So out of abundance of caution, they came back in, and that's when we decided that we were going to put a plane up the next morning on 6 July. We wanted to find this boy. I wanted him to bring him back to his mother alive and well. I knew that the further we got away from the last time he was seen alive, the lower chances that would be.
Well, his family is now working with civil rights attorney Ben Crump to investigate his death. According to the Jackson County Sheriff, people in on the boat say Wells chose to stay on the island.
All right, let's stop right there. So one of the things I do want to highlight, if you watch the autopsy video, I talked about bloated bodies, and I kind of talked about it abstractly when somebody passed away and they're in the water. I learned about that from the Caribbean islands and hearing stories where people be in a river, getting water, and bodies pop up. So I did a little bit more research, and according to Google, because it was a Google research, that it says sometimes it takes 24 to 48 hours for the body to like build up the gas and sometimes pop up to the top of the water. And then I had to go a little bit deeper and, put in the fact of the salt water and the possible, current that was going on. So they said within 24 hours, again, 48 hours, the body could have washed up or popped up. So that's what I was kind of trying to keep in mind to why they didn't find it on the 5th. Why they didn't find it on the 5th. But at the end of the day, they use sonar. Sonar is able to detect not just heat, but it actually, can penetrate the water and see heat within the water, not just on land. Let me correct that, but in the water as well. So that's something that we got to keep in mind that is a little weird that he wasn't found on the 5th. And I'm going to have to add this because if you don't know, I'm Levi, and I the spiritual side is what I know. It's just something that I noticed when I be watching those videos with people lost in the park, lost in the mountains. And this is a trend. If y'all know Missing 411 is a trend that when people go missing, it's like sometime after when there's a search going on, then bad weather come on. And it's just a little weird. So this is, again, it dawned on me when they said that the bad weather came in on the 5th. And I'm like, wow, that's just a little bit weird, something spiritual. I happen to think about that, but I'm just trying to keep it surface level for you guys now. But let's move on into a little bit more. Now, what we're going to get into before the GPS is we're going to get into the recording. Okay, let's get into the recording, and we're going to play Taylor House Publishing because I like the fact that he gave the sister who actually cleared the recording for us to an extent that people can hear it, and then it sounds like they're giving Nancy Grace all the credit. So I'm not here to be within the politics and the stuff, but we're gonna do what we do here, Black Girl Magic. You already know. They can't stand it. We make out like bandits. Let's go. Hit the like button. Thank you for being here with Miss Grace. Let's play this real quick.
That I did. As a professional audio engineer with experience in dialogue editing, dialogue cleanup, sound design, and post-production, I decided to work on that C-TO call using traditional audio processing techniques rather than relying on any AI voice separation or AI enhancement. My goal was pretty much to preserve as much of the original recording as possible while making the quieter dialogue and background audio easier to hear. So I basically use techniques such as subtractive EQ, compression, gain adjustments, noise reduction, frequency isolation, and other traditional processing methods. So what I did was I separated Vicky, the C-TO dispatcher, from Warren and the audio originating from the boat so that I can concentrate more closely on what was happening behind and around Warren, pretty much on the boat. And I specifically chose not to rely on AI because aggressive AI enhancements and voice isolation tools can sometimes introduce artifacts and distort the speech or create ambiguity around the sounds that were originally present. And for something this serious, I wanted my processing to remain as conservative as possible. You'll also notice time code and dialogue written on the side of the screen and pop up during each segment. That dialogue represents what I personally hear as an audio engineer while processing and repeatedly reviewing these sections. I'm pretty much providing it as a listening reference, not as a declaration that my interpretation is the only possible interpretation. And that's important. I want you to listen for yourself, use headphones if you have them, listen closely and decide with your own ears what you believe is being said. And you can also return to the original unprocessed recording and compare directly with what you're hearing here.
All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessing. All praise is due to the Most High. And as Ephesians 5:11 says, take no part in the works of darkness, rather expose them. So
Exactly. Shout out to you, Tyler House Publishing. Thank you for allowing me to use the clip. The reason why I wanted to show this particular clip because it did show Miss Jeanette, and I didn't know who she was, and I want to send love and blessings to her because I know how it is to be a disregarded entity with some skills. So without her, this major breakthrough wouldn't have happened. Again, several people have analyzed this through, whatever mechanisms. I'm not really, that's not my forte. And they have said that this is true. She did not alter it. So what I have next to show you is the clip from Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace. I got her Gray. I'm sorry. Nancy Grace podcast. And I think it's a little bit more clear for me. But again, I believe if it was not true, they would be contesting this with all blood, bones in their body that they can. So let's just play this real quick because I found this to be the clearest for me. Okay. And it is very alarming. So let's play this real quick.
Everyone in the background is saying, is he dead? No. Everyone in the background is saying, is he dead? Nolan, wake the up.
Claiming they're sinking and calling for help. And yet in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Nobody has ever, none of the kids on this boat have ever admitted that anybody said that they thought Nolan was dead.
So I'm wondering, are they going to actually use this first few seconds of the dispatch call. Because again, at first, that's why I said we always got to listen to different news broadcasts, different sources, because at first we did not hear that little bit apart. And thank God that someone was transparent enough to release it to the public, and Miss Janet was able to do what she did, because at first they were not showing that. So the question is, I will hope that Miss Christine, Nolan's parents, asks the DA, is this credible? Did you look at it? Can you give us some answers to this? It's really alarming that they have them in the dark so much, because if they was not in the dark again, Nolan's parents would not have to go, make actions themselves to subpoena from all social medias. They wouldn't have to make actions themselves to do a secondary autopsy. It's just, I truly believe they're not telling them anything, and it's a little bit disgusting. It really is. It doesn't make any sense. I don't think that it's normal. I haven't been in a lot of criminal cases or things like that, but usually when you are the victim, you are made aware of everything, i.e., allegedly in the Charlie Kirk case, his wife saw everything. She saw everything. She knows who the killer is. She's definite. Does that make sense? So this is a little bit weird, but we're going to move forward.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
Now we're going to stop a few times throughout this so we can listen. I think this is the whole dispatch call, because there's some key things that I want to highlight.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
Now, this pause for me came right after you heard someone in the background saying, wake the F up, wake the F up. And this pause was possibly, in my opinion, somebody saying, shh, shh. But this is, when I say allegedly, my synopsis is just my opinion.
Hello?
And he comes back and say, what'd you say? Because obviously he moved the phone allegedly to maybe say, shh. Okay?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking.
This is another part that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me, no matter how drunk you are or how slurred speech, just a little bit he is, that you can't visually see how far much the boat is flooded. Hey, it looks ankle. It's coming to our ankle. You're panicking. So you should be able to visually see where this water is at, so you can let them know how, look, this is how much water in here, and that'll estimate how much time you got to get to us before this boat sinks. So that's ridiculous. It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know.
No, like we're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir?
I don't know the phone number. It's either, I think it's, try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like, guaranteed. I don't have the tag on
Unless you
here.
have a membership number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at...
You are hearing the audio distress call from the boat. That is the boat on which Nolan Wells went to Horn Island. Now, there have been a lot of different accounts about whether he was on the boat when he came back from Horn Island, when he was supposed to come back from Horn Island. He never came back from Horn Island. And you can clearly hear on that version, which we obtained from the Mississippi Department of Marine Research. They released it. It's not something off TikTok or Insta. And that's what you hear. Let me hear 184 one more time, please.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
All right, so some of the significant things I think I highlight, because I probably don't have the whole told. This is her video, and I don't want to show a lot of it. But some of the things that I heard during that time that was significant to me was the fact that the grandfather Jerry called. That was something so significant that people are overlooking because of the timing of it. It was significant to me. They were calling in real time. We're sinking now. We need help now. How did Jerry know to call the captain? How did he know the captain? These are the questions that we have to ask. Who is the captain? And does he have any connection to Jerry that he was so comfortable in his position? Because again, everybody who's frontline workers know this: police, nurses, people on the ship, whatever. You have a duty to intervene and do your job. So it don't matter if somebody on the side say, "Oh, don't do this, we good." The call is in, the dispatch is in. We have to go circumvent or check it out. So what made this captain so comfortable to say, "Hey, yeah, we good. The grandfather called this, that, and the third, yada 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 yada." Is it connections or association? Does that make sense? I asked that because we know it was in the same time or before his dispatch call, because the dispatcher went click right back over and said, "Hold on, I'm gonna get back to the boys," and the boys hung up. So that tells me that Mr. Jerry possibly was contacted first before they received this call to Cito, in my opinion. So again, why was Mr. Jerry up to date about what happened and had enough knowledge to be comfortable enough? Because this is allegedly his grandson that's on the boat and his friends to say, "Hey, they just drunk." Allegedly, they don't need any help in the open sea. I see. I don't know. I don't deal with a lot of boats and things like that. But I'm even feeling some way when my kids be outside just on a regular road. So to be on the open sea and say no, don't check on them, that's really ridiculous. So that's why we need to figure out, Jerry, what is his role? And when we get to the police report, we're going to see that they obtain Jerry's license, registration for the boat, and another thing that's not being highlighted, that is two boats that we should be paying attention to, not just one, two. Okay, and I believe that other boat possibly is Bart's boat. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to dig a hole into this particular clip because it is heart wrenching, but that is what I wanted to bring up as far as the phone call when it comes to factual information, that we just need to ask questions like, what is going on around here? So let's move forward. Thank you for being here with Miss Grace, letting me cook. Please hit the like button, help me out. With that being said, I'm not monetized. I'm just like to tell the truth. I just be telling on the crooks. I'm just saying. I like truth and justice. They already know. So let's get to this real quick. GPS data tracks boat's movement. Now, this is very abstract. So we're going to move from abstract to a little bit more detail into the police report.
More developments in the Nolan Wells case we've been following.
Yeah, our CBS News partners revealing some new GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, tracking the movements of the boat Nolan Wells was on before he disappeared July 4th.
Will Polston joins us now live from the boat launch with more details. Good morning to you, Will.
Hey, good morning, Bill and Brandy. Good morning, everybody joining us at home. That's right, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources releasing the GPS data of where the boat that Nolan Wells was on July 4th and its whereabouts on that day, just to kind of narrow down that timeline a little bit more. Here's what we know from the data. 9:56 a.m. the boat left land and then went towards Horn Island, which it arrived around 11:14 a.m. Then the GPS data says that the boat left the island around 4:31 p.m. before traveling into Fort Bayou and returning to the dock at 6:06. Later that night, the boat went to the boat launch here at Fort Bayou and was pulled out of the water and taken back to the owner's home in Biloxi.
Now we're going to stop right there because that was the breakdown. And this was a couple of weeks ago, which was so abstract. So me just looking at this at first, I'm like, okay, so between 11:14 and 4:30, there should be a lot of videos as what we're going to see in the interview. They did have service, and even if they didn't have service, cameras don't totally need Wi-Fi to take pictures. So if young adults or anybody didn't have the option to use Wi-Fi. Pictures, you don't have to upload pictures. You could just take pictures. So when it comes to the statement that Miss Christine made, was his phone totally wiped out or was it just Snapchat? In my opinion, I think she focused in on Snapchat, and that's where you get Tatum, doing the Sambo stuff and saying, hey, she wasn't clear and this, that, and third. But I would assume that it should be other pictures there. And if mom saw that, she would have said, well, there's other pictures in other locations. She said the phone is wiped out. She said that at one point. So, in my opinion, there must have been significant amount of information missing in that phone. And that's what she was alarmed for. So, one of the things I want y'all to highlight, because within 11 from 11 a.m. to 4:30, there was allegedly three fights. Allegedly three fights. And we're going to break that down as we watch the interview with Warren. I'm not gonna put on the other interview with his friend, the mix guy, because the mix guy was not there. But yeah, he was not there. He wasn't with Nolan, let's say that. But the mixed guy did say that he got into a confrontation. And then you hear Warren saying his brother got into a confrontation, which makes two. Neither of those confrontations talked about cell phones. So the next confrontation on this island dealt with a cell phone. Somebody saying, give me my freaking phone. Three altercations that happened between 11 and 4:31 that no one has seen or have details to. It's a little weird. Now, again, as a parent, I'm just going to bring this back up and also highlighting that we're dealing with the rich and elite. They go on these vacations every year. This is not the first time allegedly Nolan went with them. They do this. They the hoity-toity. This is the place to be. Where is the security? Where is the lifeguards? Where is the safety mechanisms that's set up for this particular event that happens every year? That says a lot to me. That's disgusting. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if I have the clip, but somewhere within our broadcast, I think I have it. But if I don't, it was brought to the attention that someone spent the night on Horn Island. There was a family that allegedly spent the night. Now, I'm saying allegedly until I can get you the clip, but allegedly a family spent the night overnight. So that should include more eyewitness to the possibility of seeing Nolan, highlighting that one of the things that Tatum had said was, oh, there's a lot of people and over 2,000 people. You should be more alarmed that 2,000 people were at a location, at an event, and there's not a clear picture of what happened. Again, let's just kind of double back on the gentleman that was unalived at this rock concert most recently. We're going to get to those in the upcoming days or weeks, and thousands of people, and nobody knows how this young black boy died. Again, it's a little weird, and this is why we're doing it. I'm just using the word weird, but you know what it is. So let's move to this right here where we're going to get a little bit more detail about the GPS data, and then we'll get into the police report. Thank you for being here with Miss Grace. Please hit the like button if you like how we're deep diving into this and kind of like just putting the facts out there so we can stay focused and we can help get the Nolan family some justice. We can't let them deter us, have us arguing, giving them a platform, that type of stuff. No, we're not doing that. We focus because again, I'm gonna have to remind the audience in the black community. Sometimes we fight so hard and we still don't get the justice. But as long as we know what we know and we pray to God that God gets seek revenge on the people who hate us and kill us. With that being said, I have to be honest. We just have to be prepared for a nothing burger, not because it was nothing on this burger, but i.e., we push for the FBI to come in and do stuff with the Kanika Jenkins case. Again, the whole internet looking into it, nothingness. The Cabo 5 or 6, nothingness. This is what they do to us. So I have to prepare you realistically, but because we are doing this as a community, I'm going to say keep pushing and striving, and maybe that'll make us become more skilled and sufficient in creating our own entities that can help our community, such as what we did in the past. If you don't know, I'm a separatist and I separate from the BS. And that's what it is. Okay? We can live separate but equal. You respect me, I respect you. We do our little shooby dooby, go to work, go home. And we don't impose on each other. But we should be able to have our own in cases like this. I said a mouthful. Let's watch this real quick. And I think this is what's who is this content creator? This is brought to us by OJU Crime Stories. Okay, they got a little bit more detail about this GPS. Now you see how this is kind of expanding, you see, and we get a picture. So this is what I want to look at.
Stamped record of exactly where a boat went minute by minute on the day Nolan Wells disappeared. At the same time, his parents sat down directly with the Jackson County District Attorney and announced they're now running their own private investigation alongside the official one. Two very different kinds of update arriving in the same week. One is hard, forensic, and specific. The other is about process, pressure, and a family refusing to wait quietly for answers. We're going to walk through both and then talk honestly about what the GPS data actually changes here. For weeks now, Emory and Human Honesty, both of which Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, tracking the exact movements of the boat that carried Nolan to Horn Island on July 4th. According to that data, the boat left its dock at approximately 9:56 that morning. It arrived at Horn Island at 11:14. CBS News has previously reported, separately, that Nolan was not on the boat when it eventually departed the island that afternoon. That's the baseline. A normal, unremarkable start to what should have been an ordinary holiday outing. According to the GPS data, the boat left Horn Island at 4:31 that afternoon and returned to its original departure dock.
Now, again, as we progress and, go over this, do you guys remember that the dispatch call was made at 4 o'clock? It was made at 4 o'clock, and this is not mentioned in this video, and they were picked up at 4:30. So the boys said they left at 3, between 3 and 4. Somehow the young lady, Katie, we don't have a direct statement, but it sounded abstract. She was something around 3:30. So I'm looking at a half an hour window. Again, I want to put that half an hour window out that I believe something happened to Nolan has to be between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. I know that's a small window, but because of the call happening at 4 o'clock and we heard the traumatizing things, this is what I'm thinking. I truly believe that he went on this boat highlighting some of the things that Warren said, trying to implement Katie, and he didn't do a good job. We'll get to that. So let's just play this.
That timestamp is worth pausing on because it lines up closely with what's already been publicly stated. Judge Ashley Cole, in her own account of that day, said the group left the island around 4:30 due to the boat taking on water and an issue with the bilge pump. The GPS data now gives that claim something it didn't have before, an independent technical timestamp that roughly matches the account already been publicly.
Now, I'm not going to listen to all his stuff. Now, 4:30, look where we at. Y'all see where we at? We're in the water. So this is where they've been picked up. That 31 feet may be correct. They may have left, but then it doesn't coincide with Warren's story when he said the boat was filling up before they left and Nolan stayed on the side of the boat and said, no, I'm not coming. And then you had Katie say, yeah, I saw y'all calling him, telling him to come in. And as we know, the calls was very, how can I say, aggressive, get in the boat, because Warren said these things, it was, his story goes from soft to rough. But what that goes to say, I with this information and then in the police report, I believe that they were out in the water above at about 31 feet, what they said, okay, at the time of the call. But in my opinion, something happened here. So this picture I have, you do see where they traveled at as soon as 4:30. I don't even know how did they get 4:31. That's why these times is a little weird. 4:31 p.m. to 4:35 p.m. they got to land. So literally 4 minutes. And that could line up with the statement that Warren said. Like once the boat started to go, they was out, all the water started going out, and maybe I don't know how fast a boat would get you to Allen. So there's a few different stops here that we see, and this is where the questions come in of, okay, if this boat was in so much trauma and you said the engine stalled or whatever, why would you play games with yourself and go from dock to dock to dock? Okay, now this is just a picture, and now we're going to get into just a little bit of the police report. The police report has a little bit more information, and that police report highlights that there is another boat, allegedly. There's another boat. Thank you for being here, guys. God be the glory. Bear with my energy. I'm trying to keep it up. I had a long day, but I'm making it happen. All right, so here we go. This is the police report. Now, a lot of it is a lot of fluff. So I was trying to find significance in it, but we do know at first, I believe the call. At first, I thought the call came in from Nolan friends, but it came in from his mother. And it talks about the back and forthness for the first couple of hours between 11 and 1:30 a.m., where they're going back and forth between different jurisdictions to say, oh, you do this, you that, this, and the third, wasting time, which is really ridiculous and unprofessional on their part. That's within that the first few pages of this. Around 1:30 is actually when they took it serious, and Ocean Spring Department took the complaint on. Okay, so around 6 p.m. That evening, this is the lieutenant, his name is Cameron, reported to the command post established, the JCSO at Lake Mirror. This is when I guess they were trying to head towards that way. Now, within this time, for what I know, what I have an idea is if it was, I think it was the coach that brung the family out there by the morning, because nothing was pretty much being done at nighttime when it comes to searching for Nolan. Now, I'm going to highlight the nighttime situation. Should we before we get into this, that's what we about to do. Let's get into
Earlier today, the family of Nolan Wells met with the district attorney who confirmed the investigation.
Let's get
will
into Mom.
eventually.
Give me 1 second, guys, because Mom and Dad is going to be able to tell us a little bit more about what they went through that night. So let's just replace this real quick, and we're going to get into Mom, one of her first interviews, and she talks about what happened that night. So that's where we're going to stop right quick. Let's watch this. It's so low. Could you guys hear it?
This is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are.
Slow.
So, as you know, I'm Christine Wells-Wansley. I am Nolan Wells's mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger.
Okay, it's kind of low.
He didn't care.
Give me 1 second. It's kind of low, guys. I know you can't hear it. So what I'm going to do is pull it up another way and see, could you guys hear it? Because she says something significant about what happens that night. Thank you for being with me. Please give me a second. Let me get the original clip, because that sounds very low. Guys, get in the audience. Tell me what you think. Give me your opinion. All opinions counts. I just ask you to be respectful, be grown with it. Let's show everybody that we got some common sense, no matter what race or creed you are. Let's get it together. Okay, let's go. I'm the mama. Okay, this is the best we're gonna do. Let me see if I could it's the best we're gonna do, guys, so bear with me.
This is not how I wanted the world to meet my son, but here we are. So, as you know, I'm Christine Wells-Wansley. I am Nolan Wells's mom. And Nolan is the kindest soul. He never met a stranger. He loved everybody. He didn't care if you were black, white, purple, green, looked like a marshmallow. Like, he just wanted everyone to be in peace with one another. He loved life, and God gave him,
Hold
like
on.
of course, and he starts dancing.
Hold
Because
on.
it was like he could feel the tension. He could feel that something wasn't right. So he was just a special kid. Like, he was a special kid, but again, just heart was so big. And contacted authorities to figure out who
Okay, there we go.
helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was.
Give me a second. I'm gonna go back just a little bit.
But helped us that night. She went and picked up his cell phone from where it was, and then provided that to us, because we of course contacted authorities to figure out who to do the report with, whether it was the county or the city, which then turned into DMR, who I contacted immediately from there. And but
Can you tell them how you got your cell phone?
so our friend actually.
So let's focus in on the cell phone and remind the people why the internet is up in raw about the situation. These are the sequence of events. Okay, let's listen.
When I called her, Nolan is best friends with her two sons, Jalen and Javon. When I called her, I said to Shima, have you seen Nolan? He's missing. No one has seen him. No one has talked to him. The boys were actually with her sons. So they opened up their Snapchat, because a lot of the kids do have their locations where they're tracking one another.
Now, let's just bring this into perspective, because we're going to watch Warren's interview. But one of the things that was kind of like, oh, Warren said that he called Javon first to get Miss Christina's number. Okay. So what did he tell Javon? What did Warren say when he called Javon and say, hey, I need Miss Christina's number? Did he not tell him that Warren is not around? We need to tell his mother. And at this point, why did she have to call her friend, and that which is the parents of Javon, to have them start looking? That's a little weird to me. But because if Javon is his best friend and they are more closer, why didn't he right away call mom like, hey, listen, something's going on, before Warren got a chance? But this is just me kind of like picking at certain stuff. But I just ask a lot of questions.
So one of the boys says, well, it's showing that, I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so she received the phone from that parent, and then we met up where his car was, which was at a separate location. There were issues obtaining the key, but even so, there's just a lot of...
Tell them about what happened with the key.
So I'm gonna let my husband tell you about that, because he actually went up to the door to get the key, because at that point, I was just not in my right mind. This has just been an awful situation, just terrible.
Elmore won.
So, in my opinion, they went to go get the phone first, allegedly what Warren had, and in questions that I'm going to ask preemptive before I watch his interview again, is okay, the boat was flooding. Where were all these people's phones that you said was left on the boat? Why didn't they get wet? Why didn't they get damaged? And when you listen to what he says that it was on like a bunch of phones on the console on the boat. So when did y'all put everybody's phone up and was able to save Nolan's phone? When did you realize Nolan's phone was with you guys to take it off the boat? Because the boat was docked since the 4th, right? Right? Did they go to the boat when the family went? Did they go back to the boat? Because the boat was docked we're going to go to the timeline. Let me just look real quick. It's probably like 7:59. The boat was docked, and they went far past 11 o'clock to get the phone. So that's why we're asking all of these whys, because I'm gonna say Warren should have not did that interview, especially highlighting his mother was a judge. She done messed up. But again, we're gonna keep in mind that we're dealing with Mississippi, and the concept of justice or just us is playing in this situation. But we're gonna be on there. It's like kryptonite.
Father.
Okay, so the situation with the key. When we got to the house, a few of his friends, they were already there. And they were at the door in the house, asking questions. So when I walked up, they were getting, things were getting kind of intense. So I turned to them and told them, I need you guys to calm down.
So that may be some of the friends we saw up in the house, the ones that was real friends, because this is what I remember, that it was some intensity when it came to getting the key. And I think that stemmed from them having issues getting the phone. What Miss T, I think her friend is Tanisha, I'm saying her name wrong, God forgive me. Miss T was kind of frustrated with what she had to go through to get the phone. Never saying in her interview or us hearing that, oh, they had to go to where the boat was docked because they didn't know the phone was there. None of that. We didn't hear none of that. So the phone was in one of the boys' possessions, and they did not preemptively send it to mom soon as they was aware of it. Someone put it in their pocket, and I'm gonna say allegedly now until I can show you, because I know I got it somewhere, and I don't know, I'm gonna show you tonight. But it looked like Wyatt had the phone. Or if it wasn't Wyatt, it was damn it, Bert. It was either those two, allegedly.
I don't do this.
Because it was said that it went into one of the boys' trucks. The phone was taken into the truck. I'm gonna see, can I find that proof for you guys?
Right now, I need them to kind of trust me so they can give me something. So I was able to calm them down. So the guy, he's in one of the pictures. He came out of the room, half asleep or whatever, where I think Jack's or whatever. And I said, look, I'm Nolan's father. I'm here to get his keys so I can get his car. I said, he's like,
his car was in the yard.
His car was parked in the yard. So he was like, I don't know, man. Nolan's like my brother. I said, well, if Nolan was like your brother, would you please go in your room and see if you can find my son's keys so I can take his car home? He walks off, 2 or 3 minutes, come back. I can't find the keys. I said, okay. So at that point, I get the boys and I get to move them out the house because I didn't want them to go into the house and start tearing up these people's houses because there'd never be a hole in the situation. So walk outside.
Yeah, they was about to tear ass. It was going down that night. Again, if these were Nolan best friends, why didn't they go directly to mom's house instead of calling like, hey, something's going on. Nolan, we have his phone. We didn't know we had his phone. We left him on the beach with Katie, and we contact Katie, and Katie don't know. As I mentioned, the call that Warren made was unprecedented, because the first call he should have made, in my opinion, was to people who was actually around when he thought that something was wrong with Nolan or nobody knew where he was at. How did you know nobody knew where he was at? You went immediately to calling Javon. You went into calling mom and then calling allegedly the Coast Guard. Correct me if I'm wrong.
By the car. One of the guys that was in the house with us, he was on the phone with a girl, and the girl told him that Nolan's keys were on top of this Jack's guy's Xbox in the house because apparently she was there with him earlier. So he goes back up to the door by himself, and 5 minutes later, the keys come out. So now I feel like you done lied to me. So now I'm really like in distrust with you. But as far as their night goes, if I knew anyone who had a boat, I would have went out that night looking for my son. We tried, but I don't have friends with boats. But if I knew someone with one, I would have went out that night. And it so happened that his coach saw all the stuff on Facebook that next morning and called, contacted me like 5 in the morning, asked me did we want to go out. And I told him yes. So within an hour, he was at the dock. We met him, and we went out. We docked the boat, got off the boat, walked on the island, walked a pretty nice stretch. Came.
Now let's keep this in mind when we get into the app, because I'm remembering stuff. Try to have a photogenic memory. Warren says that this island is 11 miles long. So, to walk the island, I wanted to kind of in my head how long it would take for them to do that in a little bit of time before the storm came on the 5th. These are some of the things we have to determine because I don't know where West Point or those points are. So when we go into the next deep dive, I'll do a little bit more research on how to present those things to you. As far as geographically, I'm not totally inclined, but I'll try my best to show where the West Point was at and how long it takes to get from one side to the other via walking or via a boat. Because again, we had the Cajun Nation out there. Is it the Cajun Nation? We had the Cajun Nation out there looking with sonar, with drones, with all types of stuff on the 5th before that mysterious storm came, and nothing was found. Sonar, they should have saw something in the water, I believe, in my opinion.
Came back, got back on the boat, went around the island, looked, came back around, and where we went to, that's where apparently they say that his body floated up.
Okay, so let's keep this in mind. I'm just thinking, driving a car is 11 minutes. How long do it take you to get somewhere? 11 miles. I do apologize. And in Georgia, everything takes you a half an hour. So I'm going to say a half an hour for 11 miles. Okay, just because I'm going to say 2 minutes per mile. That's 22 minutes, 30 minutes. So he probably was able to go around the whole island in an hour and a half, which gave them significant amount of time to go around the island at least once. Sonar technology, drones all out there, and nothing. That's why you have the community or people with logic like, wait a minute, how did this body get on the island the next morning? Highlighting again that is allegedly, so I can bring you the facts, that a family spent the night out there that night.
I don't know a lot about water currents or whatever, but I would think that we would have saw his body. And on the trip there was a family that stayed the night on the island, like actually tented out on the island. So
okay, that's where I heard it from.
He was left. He would have saw that family on the island, and it was 2 of the boats docked, so he would have had help. So I don't know. I think we stayed there for like an hour and a half. That's when Jackson County and the sheriff department showed up, and they were going to do their rounds.
Okay, so I'm about a little accurate about the hour thing, just guesstimating hour and a half to go around the island at least once within that short frame of time. Again, I want to highlight that not only did you have people spend the night, which he said, that the Rangers check the island every night. They to check if everybody's there. So you got Rangers that check the island every night, but they're not checking during the time 11 to 4 p.m. where they're out there fighting. Everybody's drinking and drugging. Everybody, because it had to be someone over 21 years old to bring the drinks out there. Y'all can't tell me Nolan didn't have a boat. Family can't afford a boat, but he was able to buy all the beers and just have all the alcohol for himself. Let's be realistic.
And I had a classmate of mine, him and his 2 boys, they came out and they searched, and then they got back in touch with me and said the Coast Guard had finally showed up in airplanes. So
what is so critical, what Elmore is saying is they went out on Sunday, and the tide, if it brought his body up, he went missing on July 4th, as they say. His body should have been there on July 5th. Why would it not appear to July 6th?
Now, again, I got to use what I researched. Sometimes it takes the body 24 to 48 hours to bloat and to come to the surface. So that could answer probably like the why for me. But again, the most important part outside of the body being washed up to the shore is how did the body get inside of the water? How did Nolan get inside of the water? What occurred and what caused that abrasion because they're not trying to say it's an abrasion. But no, our body don't work like that. We don't just, I don't want to hear the pooling of the blood thing. I have dealt with several people who had clots, especially being a COVID nurse. Guys, I got to talk about it, baby. Ooh, thank you, Jesus. Freedom. But with that goes to say, I know about clot, and the diffusion is very scattered. Blood, like if someone starts to bleed, a hemorrhage, let me correct that, a hemorrhage that turns into clots. So you want to have it in a square block area at the back of the occipital area. So with that goes to say, I constitute it as an abrasion. I just want to bring up this. I was thinking about it. Judge Mathis had said it's possible because possibly from him being choked and held underwater. And I was like, oh, that don't make sense. But it could be because when I showed you on the autopsy video where we had that specialist pathophysiologist there from the YouTube video, she said thrusting, like the thrusting, and that right there can cause, you know, with the hand being back there and thrusting them back and forth, it can possibly cause that, especially highlighting that if you put a hand back here, it looks exactly the size of what that picture is showing. Like, it's so weird that it's in the back of the head right here. So the only way, and I'm being graphic, that's why I told you guys we had to send love and blessings to Nolan and the family, but we're being really, really factual and graphic here. It can be hands that was placed back there. To me, let's move forward.
One of those things that's just not adding up. And the fact that if he stayed behind on the island, there were boats there. There were people. Somebody had to see something. That's why it's not adding up. And that's what they're saying. It's just not adding up.
And if he was there 2 days, somebody on the island would be able to verify that. 2 days, and nobody's come forward and say, no, he was with us, or no, we saw him. It just does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Now we're going to get back to the police report. Okay, we cooking here. We cooking. Is it making sense to you guys? Let's make it happen. Sometimes I leave people speechless. It's okay. As long as you're here, hit the like button. Now let's move forward to back to what we were showing where it comes to the police report, because there is something that everybody's missing a little bit, is the fact that it's two boats. Two, not one, but two. There's two boats. I believe that is Bart's boat as well as Jerry Ralph Ackerson. Saying the last name wrong. So Jerry, allegedly, from what I know, is the grandfather of Warren, the one who possibly made the captain aware to not go and help. And Bart boat is tracked here as well. Okay, so let's just get to it. Let me see. Can I zoom it up just a little bit? It's a lot of mush mouth stuff here. So I kind of like, let me just get through it, but I can show you where they obtained both of the searches for both boats. And it's so ridiculous because the fifth, let's see, attempt to launch the 3 drones. I think this is when they had the drones on the 5th and things like that. They just talk about the little bit of what they did on the 5th. Not too much. The drone was launched at 12:40 p.m. As you know, the parents were probably already there. The second flight launched at 1:22 p.m. The search was approximately 0.1 square miles, consisting of a parallel search, 0.1 square miles, but this is 11-mile island. So that's what this right here. This is what it says. So I'm like, huh? But you guys that's more geographically friendly could help me, because I'm like, huh? 11 miles versus 0.1 square miles. I'm not sure, but is that the full proximity of that? Let me know. Second flight ended abruptly due to battery separation. Excessive heat caused the lithium battery to swell. Further flight's attempt was canceled due to excessive heat. Nolan Wells was not located during either flight. See the image. I didn't get to see the image. All right, so it goes straight. It don't say nothing about the 6. It don't go into what happened, this, that, and the 3rd. It goes into the 8th. So the 6th, we know that Nolan was found at 10 a.m. That's what it said. That's what I researched. Let me know if that's not correct. Why, if he was found at 10 a.m., did it takes them 2 days and almost a half to get in contact with the owners of this boat and to obtain GPS data, or at this point, pictures? Okay. I believe that they had got pictures at one point of the investigation, then went back and got the GPS. Okay. So here we go. This is the GPS data. Let's see for which one. Now, you're going to see is two vessels. Is one vessel right here, MI4088BU. That was in the driveway of the residence, and that was the one that was docked. I believe that was the one that was sent to Biloxi. That was probably Jerry's. As you can see at this time, you're going to see the vessel contained a pair of German GPS maps, charting plot wires, and sonar, waypoint, and chart sharing sync. They had sonar there. Smith inserted the 32 gigabyte card into the unit and followed the prompts to copy. And this was done on the 8th, 2 days later. I believe, let me not quote, because I think they took the pictures on an earlier day, but let me get to it. Now, here, as we keep going, on July 8th at approximately 5:10 hours, Shay Smith meets with Jerry Ackerson and Jennifer. Okay. And this is where they download the data. They download it 2 days later. And Mr. Ackerson provides Smith with a driver's license and vessel registration. So we're focused on the children when we have adults here. Sorry, Jerry. Sorry. Just like mama and daddy said, you were supposed to make sure that these kids got home. Were you there? Were you there? I'm confused. Was you who? Why did it take your license if you wasn't there? I don't. Okay. My son has my car. Get into something. They don't need my license. They just need to know that it's registered, because whatever happened is going to the driver of that vehicle. That's not how it works in the water? I'm confused. So y'all clarify for me. July 8th, 2 days later, after they found Nolan, this is when they go to collect their license. So who are we focused on? Just the kids or the adults? It's a little bit weird. Emerson provided Smith. This is Emerson, I believe. Is that, damn it, Bart? Y'all let me know. Emerson, and if it's not, correct me. This is just this. I'm not 100% sure. Smith provide their license for in their boat registration card, and this was the other vessel number. This is the second vessel. It's two vessels here, guys. And you, TikTok, YouTube investigators, get to it. Get to it. Okay. So one is MI1295CB and one is 1M4088BU, as we mentioned. And I think the one with BU belongs to allegedly Jennifer and Jerry, the grandfather and maybe grandmother, that was there or not there. We have so many questions. Yeah, it's a little weird. That's why mom don't want to talk to nobody. If I, Miss Christine, I wouldn't want to talk to nobody either. They all weirdos and freaks. Let's get to it. Let's do a real investigation and make it happen. So again, let's highlight, guys, that it's two vessels that maybe people needs to focus in on, as well as with 2 points of GPS data. All right, so which one is this? This is the BU. This is BU that's connected to Jerry. Okay, so it talks about the departure at 9:56. The video we're going to see a little bit from. Take time. I'm trying to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to respect my black people, but some people, like, y'all don't know I'm Haitian. Some people don't make it when we in a revolution. We gotta handle that before we make moves. With that being said, I don't promote violence. Let's move forward. Now, 11:14, the vessel arrives at the west tip of Horn Island. This is Jerry's boat on the 4th. And between 11:15 and 4:30, we know what happened. Fights, drinking, probably drugging. And where is the adults? Where is the safety? The people who care about Nolan friends and things, y'all should be very concerned that their parents, this is neglect. This is child abuse. I said it, not legally, but in my opinion. They should have more care for their kids, no matter if they're college students going to college, high school, to send them on a whole island. Maybe I'm overprotective, baby. When you go down in Atlanta, I need to keep your GPS on. Who you with? These people are freaks and frauds. These people will set you up. I don't care if you're right down the street, but I'm different. I grew up in a Haitian household, very strict. We don't spend the night at people's house. People could come here. We don't play those type of games, but let's move forward. Again, now around 6:31 to about, I do apologize, 4:31 to 5:24, the vessel departs from West Tip Horn, northbound speed 0.6 to 4.2. So I'm confused because they keep saying that the call was made at 4 p.m. This is what they said. Okay. But then I don't know if Damn It Bart showed up at 4:30 and they got the boat moving. I'm a little confused about this timeline. Okay. I'm just this is where I get a little confused from. So at 5:25, this is when the boat regained normal speed. As we get back to the GPS, if we want to go back to that, hold on, if I have it. I hope I didn't take it off because I thought okay. If we just go back to the GPS to show at 4:30, they were not at the tip of Horn Island. This is the questions for me. What's going on here? Because according to Nolan's, okay, I do apologize, y'all. I got disconnected. Ain't nothing but the devil. That was me. I hit the X button, I guess, instead of what I was supposed to hit. So I do apologize. Let's get back to it. Now, where were we at? We were talking about the two vessels and we were talking about the timeline of their investigation. Thank you for bearing with my little technical glitches, but we will get it together. Let's add something to this scene. Let's see. Ooh, treating me like that. Gonna do me wrong. Give me 1 second. Let's see. All right. I think we back in business. Give me a second, y'all. Y'all know I'm getting back to my broadcast. If you don't know, guys, I've been going through a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to complain about that, but I'm getting back used to broadcasting in my studio. Okay. So just bear with me. I didn't mean to hit that. So here we go. Now, what I was highlighting prior to me getting knocked off, that it is two vessels that we need to pay attention to. There is a set of adults that we need to pay attention to, which is allegedly the grandparents of Warren, as well as the second boat that may be related to Damn It Bart. Why Damn It Bart is out there trying to sue everybody and their mama and stop this investigation from moving forward. Now, let me see if there's anything significant in this. There was a little throw off moment in this particular document because I thought the young lady who they mentioned in this document may be Katie, but it's not Katie. They mentioned I think they were just trying to throw off some stuff, okay? Because it was a little bit weird. What page was this? Someone basically told the cop that it was okay. So on July 5th, so this is a little bit where they go down into July 5th. There's not much about July 5th there, but what I read to you guys. Here go the timeline. There's not much detail about July 5th, but this. So then it goes skips. It went to the July 8th and how they obtained the GPS from these people. And then we go back to July 5th now at approximately 11:55 hours, Mississippi Department of Marine Rescue, Office Marine. Hold on, is this it? Hold on. Interview, yes. It says the Captain Freeman was told to locate a female subject that was possibly involved with the missing person on Horn Island. So somebody dry snitch on this girl and she had nothing to do with it. To me, it looks like they was trying to throw off the cops. But basically, she was like, her name is I'm kind of skim through that. When they interviewed Miss Naquan, stated that she had already spoken to Jackson County Sheriff Department investigators and stated that she was not on Horn Island. In fact, she was at Petty Bios Island with different group of friends. So this was a throw off point for me because Katie was not mentioned here. They said that this was possibly the girl he was with when they knew it was Katie. And then we heard a female voice on the boat. I don't know if we were able to play that portion of it because I didn't want to dig that in because that is very heart wrenching for me. But it was a female voice and she sounded very like hurt, like, oh my God, like, So with that goes to say this was a throw off moment inside a police report where they were not telling the truth. Somebody told this officer that, and they went and interviewed this person. This person had nothing to do with it. So again, this shows the weirdness for me of people who consider his best friend, and you're not telling the full truth. Like you're not telling the whole story. Hold on, let me move some stuff around. This thing totally knocked me down. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me see. Can I move myself? I want to. I'm still trying to learn how to do this. All right, let's see, because I want this to be big. All right. Is this okay, guys, for a second? You guys let me know. I'm having some issues here. I don't want me bigger than this. I want that to be big, but I don't want to be so little in the corner. But anyway, this was some of the things that we found in the police report that was a little bit alarming. Again, guys, let's pay attention. There's two boats to pay attention to here, not just one. And damn it, Bart boat may be one of the boats. So you guys are on to something. Now, moving forward, let's go to the interviews. Can we go to the interviews? Now, God, why you gonna let my screen mess up like that? I'm always blaming God for something. I know he's sick of me. I know he tired of me. Anytime something go wrong, I be trying not to blame y'all so I won't be mad at mankind. I be like, God, now why you gonna let them go do that to me? All right, so now let's watch Tatum's 3 interviews. We're gonna watch it. The one with Warren on the beach and Warren at his studio.
Some of the boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on.
If I'm sitting waist deep in water and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat. I open the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with. And the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah. All right, we're in Mississippi right now. We're getting ready to recount the exact path that the boys took, also with Nolan Wells, from where they docked the boat at all the way out to Horn Island and back. The boys are going to explain to me exactly what went on, how many people were there, how many boats were taken out, which I think the world is going to be completely dumbfounded when they realize what the truth really is, because the lies have been pervasive. So we're right here where Nolan left on the boat, and you'll find out how many people were there, how many boats, and then we're going to take that same path out. I'm going to go look at Horn Island and see exactly where they could have been to get a perspective that the media don't even care to try to do. And then we're going to take the trek back and we're going to find out exactly what happened to Nolan.
And I'm going to be honest, this is a whole bunch of nothing burger for me, because you're showing what they did prior going. We want to know what the heck happened there between 11 and 4. All of the fights, the drinking, the drugging. So what he shows here is the dock area of the home before, not after, not the time when they came in around 7 p.m. and left and came back and who was on the boat. He didn't show us none of that. That's why I said in my last live that was severely tainted by the internet that Officer Tatum is not a investigator. He's not even an officer right now. And what an officer does is just watch or write down their report, and then they give it to the prosecutor and investigator to find the facts in that. So he is highly representing himself as something that he is not. This is why he's showing us this half-ass shit. I'm just being honest, because this was not significant. So let's just move forward to the part where it's a little bit more significant, because again, you will have them on an island and Warren kind of incriminate himself. Okay?
Your mind what this was like on that day. You have boats 2, 3, 4 deep from way down there where you can see all the way through here. You have thousands of people on this island, probably 2,000 people. So this wasn't some abandoned, secluded island where nobody's at. Obviously, this is a Monday, and there's a few people on the backside of the island, not a lot of people here. But on 4th of July, this is a celebration. And so this wasn't a small place where 4 boys took their black friend and dropped him off.
And we totally know that. That's why we're severely alarmed that it's over 2,000 people there and nobody saw nothing. That's why I say the hill has eyes. Y'all ever saw that movie where everybody's in on it? This is weird as hell. We understand. It was way more. But guess what? Those are the ones that we have the direct contact with Nolan. So we have to start from the beginning, if that makes sense. I'm talking to Officer Tatum. You know what I'm saying? He got to get it together. We got to save his soul just a little bit. Yeah, I know I be trying to save people's soul. Like, baby, we have to save you just a little bit before it's off with you, because you're definitely disowned by the black community already, baby. And just to let you know, the ties that you align with, do not think that they're going to save you and protect you from anything. They're using you as a token. And as I mentioned, I love everybody, but it's certain traits in the white community. They don't care if you're white. Long as once you side with the black community, or you be with a black woman or like whatever, and you don't go with the social norm, you're exiled. So what the hell do Officer Tatum, excuse my language, God, I'm trying not to. I did so good for an hour and a half. What does he think is going to happen to him? Only because he has a white wife. And let me tell you this, guys, I will be showing you more and more of stories that's similar like this. But there is a story, and I'll put it in the post. There was a story of a black officer around the 4th of July, I think, don't quote me, but in the last 6 months, that was drowned on a trip with him and his Caucasian fiance and all of his police buddies. He was a new police in this place, and we'll get into that. So with that goes to say, I'm gonna take a whole glass and shut up and let everybody else imagination run down the line. Officer Tatum. Let's move forward. I'm just saying. I'll put it in the post. Y'all see I'm not lying. If I'm lying, I'm flying. He was an officer, allegedly found drowned. Fiance came home, and all the other buddies came home except for him.
And never seen him again. This place was flooded with people. Tons of people, multiple boats, multiple friend groups. I mean, everybody's here having a good time. And then the boat gets towed out because it was getting ready to sink. And so, and from what I was told, they told Nolan, get on the boat, man, get on the boat, get on the freaking boat. And he decided, because he's an adult, that he was gonna stay behind. And all the boys that they've been line up based on what I've seen. But you gotta replay this moment. That's why I flat out lie.
Move forward. I'm sorry, I can't listen to the mush mouth bullshit.
Where the island drops off and how the island works, but
yeah. Flat out lie.
Shout out to Tatum for allowing us to use his clip, but baby, the mush mouth shit got to stop.
Is there anything that you want to say, you want people to know about this whole experience?
Yeah, I mean, from someone, if someone's not from here, it's kind of hard to understand, you know, where the island drops off and how the island works. But, you know, there's plenty of people out here, especially on the 4th of July, you know, this is where people come out to celebrate. And I mean, if you film the water, you can see right here, Brandon, where it drops off. I mean, you can see literally where it drops off. So, I mean, it goes from about waist deep water right there to neck deep. And then it drops from neck deep all the way to like 17, 20 foot. I mean, we weren't even a quarter mile out the island and when we were leaving, and I mean, it was 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're walking towards the east right now, but if you walk down to the...
He's not lying about the 30 foot of water because we see where the boat was at 4:30, but I don't believe that it was sinking at 4 o'clock. I don't believe that. That was when the call was placed. Something is weird.
West, that's where the west tip of the island is, and that's where the current picks up very, very bad.
People talk about the phone situation. I want to, because the way you articulate it, I just walked in the water with my pants, they're wet, and you can tell right away that if you're hanging out in the water, it doesn't appear, in my opinion, that you would have your phone on you. Is that typical for people to have their phones, or?
No, I mean, people come out here, especially on the 4th, and you know.
Oh, what you see here is Tatum trying to discredit mom's concern about no pictures, and that's severely disgusting. Come on, we already debunked that. If you ain't gonna be on Snapchat Live and uploading, you're taking pictures. We're taking pictures to come back later on and upload them. You know what we're doing, especially if we go on vacation. 4th of July, that's your last hurrah, and then you're 18. Oh, baby. Yeah, your memory is full.
You know, Memorial Day, like, you know, days like that, they come out here to celebrate, and people get on the water to be off their phones, first off. Second off, if I'm sitting waist deep in water, and all my friends are, everybody's leaving their phone on a boat, in a lake, you know, if you're sitting on a pond, and no one's getting out of the water with their phone in their hand, unless, you know, it's to take a quick picture. But most of the pictures taken on the 4th of July were on the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, salt water, if you drop your phone in salt water, most of the time you're not going to get it back. Yeah. I mean, you know, especially the water's murky right now because there's been a lot of rain. You can't see, the visibility isn't good, the water isn't clear.
And what I mentioned before, I'm not an expert in the water, but baby, when you go into the waterfalls, you're on vacation, where do you put your phone at? In a wet pocket, that thing where you could just put right in there, seal it up, and they could just be on the water with their phone. That's what it's set up. People go scuba diving with that. So there's no way it can't handle the little tide and current of them. So this is ridiculousness for me, but we'll let them keep trying.
Around this time, and you know, like no one has their phone though, usually. I mean, unless you're crazy, I'm not walking around with my phone in my hand. They've been walking around Horn Island, you know.
How many people left the phone on the boat?
And we're all crazy because literally our phones are attached to our hips. I don't give a damn if you're 18, 19, 20. I'm in my 40s and my phone stay right by me. It's disgusting though. It's disgusting how we just pick up our phone all the time. We wake up, go to sleep. There's no way this young man left his phone. And there's no way that they didn't know his phone was on the boat. and we're going to listen to some key details that he says in this.
Was it just his phone when y'all left, or
Right. I mean,
other people have phones on the
absolutely
boat?
not. Like, there was at least, well, I rode out here on a different boat, like I told you, and I grabbed my boat. I mean, I grabbed my phone when I left the Palm Beach to get on the boat with Triton. I mean, to get on the boat with Wyatt because we were having, boat issues. And
So was it Wyatt boat? Is that who it is? Is it Wyatt boat or is Damn It Bart? Y'all let me know who boat it is.
and when I got on the boat, there was phones everywhere on the console. I mean, everywhere. Like, I mean, there was everybody's phone that was sitting around the boat was on the console. Like, we had phones that we didn't even know whose they were.
So you hear how he says, remember, I was wondering, where were the phones at? How was they safe? How did his phone get water damage or whatever? And they were sitting on the consoles. They was just out there on the tables. So when did you scoop everybody's phone up and hid the phone so they could be safe? When did this happen? Come on, Officer Tatum. You got to do way better than this. Like, no investigation skills, baby. I would have been drilling them like a drill gun.
And people just leave their phone, especially when people are drinking and, they're not in the right state of mind. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just leave my phone and I'll get it later.
So again, he criminates everybody around when they're drinking and they're not in their right state of mind. Not Nolan's drinking by himself, getting messed up, went to the store, bought all the drinks and all the drugs himself. No, everybody's drinking. No parents around. But I'm strict. I'll shut up. I'm too strict for this shit because it won't be happening with me and mine. Mine was mad at me for a while until they started experiencing shit. Like, Mom, you did save us. The world is kind of crazy. I'm like, shit, there you go. That's why I be praying. But I'm going to let you experience it. But again, I'm just talking from Mama's perspective. Some of this stuff just doesn't make any sense for me.
And that's the way it is around here. You don't take your phone and walk around the island. There's plenty of phones on the boat. And
what? If my daughter don't have her phone on walking in the club or wherever she at, it's a problem. I'm thinking she hurt. What? You crazy. You better have that phone on you every 2 seconds. And it's sad too, honestly, because I'm an 80s baby and we didn't grow up with phones. We was outside. So it's so weird how we can't function without the phone. But baby, that right there don't even sound right. Not mine. Y'all let me know how y'all are with y'all's. Maybe I'm a little, but that's why moms had needed a break from me, a little while. But baby, they right on back because they know Mama was right. They still living their life, but they listen. They listen. Shit is crazy out there.
Spread out between the 3 boats that we had, and I mean, we had 20 plus people on the spread between our
3 boats now. The 3 boats they had.
3 boats, so of course everybody's phone was on the. I never saw someone in the water that day, sitting with their phone in their hand, scrolling on anything or even taking pictures in the water. Yeah, someone might hop out the boat.
3 boats, y'all.
A lot of girls like to take pictures, in the water, and so do guys. But girls want to take pictures in the water. Half a second, you might hop out the boat and be like, oh, I'm snapping this picture of myself or of someone else. But as soon as I get back in the boat, I'm putting my phone up and I'm getting back in the water and I'm hanging out with my friends.
So I really think the second boat was Wyatt because I can remember from the interview, he said that Wyatt jumped to pull the plug, possibly. Come on, guys, let me know because I'm trying to get down to the get down of what's going on here.
It's common sense, man. And describe to me what the day was like. I saw a video online. How hectic was it out here? I mean, right now it's barren. There's not a lot of people out here, but clearly that's not what it was on the 4th of July. So, like, how dense was it with people here?
Well, I mean, you look at all the videos, that are spread out online, and a lot of them, you can't believe what you see all the time online. You know that better than anybody. But, I mean, there was boats lined up all the way down the island. And there was rows. There was a first row, there's a second row. We were in the 3rd row where it drops off. And then there was even boats in front of us. And this went all the way down towards the east end of the island. And then there was people on the east tip. And we're on the north side now, but there was people on the south side too, lined up all the way down.
You see, it was thousands of people out there and nobody saw what happened to Nolan. That's why we're doing this.
You talk to anybody on the coast about this, they know that. I mean, 4th of July, this is the hot spot. This is where people want to be. This is where people want to come out, hang out with their family and friends.
And people say that you guys just left Nolan behind. I've seen reports of people saying that you just left him. I see reports of people saying that you asked him to get on the boat. You told him to get on the boat, he didn't. What's the truth in that?
Well, Wyatt was having boat issues and the bilge wouldn't pump. So the bilge is basically a pump that releases water from your boat when water comes in. So I opened the back hatch and there's water up to the batteries. And that is obviously not good. There's water almost coming over the transom, which is where your motors sit and which is the, by the stern, like in the back part of the boat. So obviously we were in emergency. The boat.
So just a heads up, in our next deep dive, I'm gonna be a little corny, try to figure this out. We're gonna talk about how fast the boat could travel from there. We'll try to figure that out, as well as all of this technical stuff that he's talking about the engine being submerged in water. How did that happen? And was you sitting in 30 feet of water for that to happen? Because into my opinion, if you were from the land to where that 431 in that picture show you, you was moving. You were moving at some type of speed. So how was the boat filling up? And that goes back to the question, when you call, how you don't know how filled up the boat is.
We're trying to save the boat. It's not like we didn't ask Nolan or we just left Nolan. Nolan decided to stay on the island with the girl that he was with. And the girl is a witness to that too.
Yeah.
So we'll stop right there because now we're going to get in an interview where he says a whole bunch of more mush mouth, mixed up stuff. Again, his mother is the judge, and this was the dumbest thing she ever let her son do. It was stupid. But
All right, so I want to be clear with this one thing. Because
we grateful for people for being so, ignorant and smart at the same time.
One thing, because I know you mentioned before, is
on my buddy's tie bond.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time, and then you guys get ready to leave prematurely.
Right.
And explain that, because you guys got there around 10.
Yeah.
It's now 4:30.
Right.
People are still out there partying and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated you guys to get the boat up and running. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So
Fight.
I looked out, I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously
fight. Let's note his brother, whoever his brother is, got into a fight, and he's going to describe this fight, even though it's back and forth. Oh, it was this, it wasn't nothing. I sprinted, I walked, I was calm, I was braced. Let's listen. This is when someone is an uncredible witness.
I have a younger brother, and that's who she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over, I ran over. I made a beeline, I didn't talk to anybody, put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there was a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was.
So he doesn't know who his brother was fighting. Was his brother fighting the mixed guy? Because if he was fighting the mixed guy, then we know it was only 2 altercations, but it was 3.
And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight, and this guy punched me in the face, and I punched him right back." And then went to the ground, and my brother put him in an arm bar. And
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely not. When I was over there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there. Yeah. Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
So you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is
Is he lack of sleep or on drugs? I'm just keeping it real, because when I get brain farts like that, it's usually because I have lack of sleep. But I don't know. That's weird. He's too young for that. He's too young for that shit.
To that, that's what I was saying.
So the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle. I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of that situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything about it. I pulled my brother off the beach, and I was just like, "Listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down." I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom, and
Okay, so let's listen to the timeline. The brother had the fight. And as soon as after the fight, that looks like the thing that made them walk towards the boat. And he got to the Triton, and the Triton was flooding.
I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat. And, you know, no water's coming out, no access water.
So that was Wyatt on the phone call, guys. And Jerry is Wyatt's grandfather. For those who don't know, I'm clarifying this up for myself too.
Out, and, you know, it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat. And at some point, the boat was very, very crowded. And there was just a lot of people on, so that it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So
Okay, so your brother had a fight. It prompted you to walk towards the boat. At that time, you noticed the boat was flooding. And then you get to this point where you say a couple of hours later, you know, there's more flooding. This is the inconsistency for me. Like I gotta be an investigator. Like, baby, let's backtrack. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. What happened? Then next. That's how this is supposed to go. This is a ridiculous interview, but I'm trying my best.
The starboard side hatch and the battery was completely underwater, and so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, you know, yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out. And
wait, so you're trying to throw an anchor, and you already docked. You just was at the dock or wherever your boat was parked after your brother fight and noticed water was going in there, and then you say hours later. It just doesn't make sense. Why are you throwing the anchor down? The 31 feet of water spot? That sounds weird. They were throwing that anchor down. I don't know why you throw an anchor down when you sinking, but that's probably because of drunkenness. I don't know. I'm not a boat expert, but that don't sound like a good idea.
Eventually, I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, you know, calm down. Like, you know, the boat could possibly sink, you know, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now. The water is getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out.
Correct.
From Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps.
Guys, I don't like it. I don't like this. Is it Horn Island or over 31 feet of water in that picture that we showed you? We gonna bring it right back up. That you was like directly over water. Officer Tatum, you're fired.
The water tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, you're sitting, looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the water, the access water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out.
The trash
I looked over
out.
the gunnel.
Pulling the trash out the bill. This is a first time wonder for me. We're going to go back over this because I'm going to study this a little bit, but they were pulling trash out of the bill. What trash was in the bill? Horn Island seems pretty dangerous. It's dirty. You get trash in your bill. They get drunk. You got high currents. And all of these rich elite Epstein, that's what I call them, the Epstein elites, because they get away with everything, can have this party with no safety mechanism set up. Nobody's in trouble. We could start there and then move on to getting the truth behind Nolan. And that's why we're not getting no truth, because they're not putting pressure on just the regular things they could lock people up for.
And I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, you know, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, you know, all this chaos. Because we left at 4:30.
Okay. So it's Bart's boat is the second boat. Wyatt is the one connected to Granddad. Warren is just talking. telling, connected to the judge. I'm just trying to put this together.
And there were still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like,
so as he's still talking about the amount of people, what they're seeing and things like that, how is this story being misconstrued with the position of the boat being 31 feet over water, which is a great distance? Should we put the picture back up real quick? I will get right back to this. Let's just replace this with the picture real quick, because this is a little weird, because we want to remind people. Is this it? Is this it? Is this? Hold on. Everything started at one time. Baby, that's not what we want. That's not what we're doing here. Hold on. I'm trying to find the GPS picture that I had up. Y'all know I had a little technical difficulties where things shut down on me. But I got the picture. Give me 1 second. I got the picture. Bear with me. Because again, this picture is saying at 431 where they were at, and it's just not making sense of what Warren is saying. So they're letting me pull it up. There we go. Get 1 second to get on the screen. Now you see what I'm saying? At 431, this is where they were at. They wasn't at Horn Island. That 31 feet makes sense, but this story doesn't make sense. The story does not make sense. Such a fool. Such a fool. When the devil think you could just say anything. Sorry, Warren, I'm not calling you the devil, but you're definitely making stupid moves like the devil would. All right. So let's finish watch this. Is this it? Oh. All right, we getting down. We getting down. We probably got 1 more hour, guys. I'm gonna cook, and then I'm gonna be seeing y'all on my next live, probably next week or something.
CBS News has previously reported separately.
That's not it. Hold on, I put up the wrong one. Sorry, y'all. Grace, you're not getting sleepy. Let's watch that.
All right, so I want to be clear with this one thing because I know you
transom, and I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat, and no water's coming out, no access water's coming out, and it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat, and at some point the boat was very, very crowded, and there was just a lot of people on, so that it drags water in, and eventually, I think over time we were out there for a couple hours, the boat just started filling up with water, so I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater. And so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out, and eventually I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, calm down, like, the boat could possibly sink, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now, the water is getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out from Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps to the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, you're sitting, looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the water, the access water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out. And I looked over the gunnel, and I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat.
And at this point, this is when Officer Satan would say, hey, when this is happening, what is the time between this happening and you call the dispatch? That's what I would have asked, but I wasn't there.
Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, all this chaos. Because we left at 4:30 and there was still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And, I mean, eventually Bart pulls us out. You know, we left
I saw the picture. How did they leave at 4:30?
at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, you know, Bart's port side cleat or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow, and so it was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Wyatt called Sea Tow, and Wyatt was like, you know, calls them, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not just send, and like, I mean, it's not great. You know, you got maybe one bar, and it won't work that well. But once you get a little off the island, you have cell coverage, and even on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island. You know, it was fine. Like we had, you know, enough cell coverage to make a phone call or shoot a text over, but you don't have enough cell coverage to like send a picture, for example.
So as you hear, he has. I'm sorry making all these faces because I'm looking at my stuff and listening at the same time. I'm Haitian and Barbadian. Please excuse my faces. I'll be serious. So you hear that he called his mom. You called your mom. The judge. Just pay attention to the details. Yeah. A little weird.
So Wyatt.
So I want to go back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's weird.
I want to touch on that real quick because the phone thing came up at some point. And so was it when you guys got off the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, were people taking their phones off the boat, or is that?
So why didn't Officer Tatum follow up and say, "Hey, did you call your mom?" Nothing, Burger.
Is that not typical? Because I know that Nolan's phone was left on the boat.
Right.
Even though, you know, after you guys had left. So can you explain that? Because I think people need to understand this a little clearer.
Yeah.
Was it typical for people to have their phones left on boats, or did they keep their phones in the water? Or?
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of goes out to the island to get away from, you know, their phones and everything else. I know I got on the boat to get away from, you know, just the regular world. And no, when you're waist deep in water, no one's carrying their phone in their hand, especially at Horn Island. The water has been very, very murky because of the rain. And when
The guy in the comment talk about some big up Tatum. I just saw your comment. Boy, bye. Let me find out you was part of the No Kids Left Behind. Tatum is not doing a good job. He sucks. Obviously, if you listen to what I'm saying, it's just obvious things he can ask. He literally fucking sucks. I'm so sorry. He's terrible. Thank God he's not a cop on the street, because he'll be somebody I'll have to probably get off the beat by complaining and, you know, writing papers to the whatever, to AG, to the training board, because this jigger is a little slow. He's not catching everything. I don't know how we do this, Black community. How the hell did somebody like this get so far? Jesus, help me, God. They shut me up and censor me, but this guy. Okay.
It's just very risky. If you're going to have your phone in the water, you know, some people might for a couple minutes and like maybe taking some pictures of each other. You know, I know a lot of girls like to take pictures in the water at Horn Island. You know, guys do too. You know, like people like to take pictures, and but a lot of the pictures you see are on the boat for a reason. And so, no, I mean, if someone is on their phone in the water, they're using it real quick and then putting it right back on the boat. We were all waist deep in water. No one's sitting there scrolling on their phone. I never saw that once. And I've never seen that once. And I've been out to Highland my whole life. I mean, that's just not something people do. People aren't on their phones. And everybody has their phone, yes, but it's always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their. Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and
So I said I had to move forward. I caught it right at the right spot. Nolan was sitting on that boat with the Katie girl. So we're gonna go to this comment. I love these people. They don't know how this kid died, but they know that the white boys killed him. No, we really don't know. If you listen to the live at the beginning, like I said, this is the first point of contact that we have, who we know Nolan was with, who we know who he was around, who was his friends. It's 2,000 people. We can't go and search everybody because everybody's pretty much the hills have eyes. Everybody's just quiet as all hell. Doesn't make sense. One of the things that I did miss in that last interview, he did say that, you know, the boating community is a pretty close-knit boating community and we all stick together. And I think that's what's happening right now. So we are not accusing just anybody, but based on the circumstances, something happened to Nolan. So we need to be focused on how did he get in the water, what happened. So that's what we're doing here, the sequence of events. So thank you, Brian, for being here. I hope I am enlightening you, highlighting that the way you are talking and behaving, you may be a Gentile, because y'all are acting pretty out of pocket. Like y'all don't run this nation. Y'all not in all these high positions. And now y'all online just saying any stupid thing that come to your mouth. You need to act with more honor. Y'all the leaders of this nation. And then y'all come all over and just say crazy stuff. I don't know how y'all get away with this. As Black community, we can't do that. As a Black professional, I have to dot my I's, cross my T's, shut my mouth. Y'all, you just saying anything. Come on, come with the fire, baby, because Mama Grace is going to check it. Get it right.
And my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. No.
So for Mr. Tatum to be so technical, this is when he's supposed to say, hey, what time was this? When did this happen? You said that he was in the boat with the Katie girl. When did that happen from the time frame that your friend started yelling, y'all started yelling, get the fuck in the boat? When did this happen? What's the time frame? Come on, we need to know.
Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said, how
many people heard that? Were there just
at least
just a
5
few, or?
Everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left.
Oh, can I add one thing to this? Earlier, I talked about the significance of the phone call. One thing significant that I did not highlight is that they said how many people on the boat, and they said 7. And then somebody said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like they were trying to hint to him like it's only 6 of us, not 7. But allegedly it was 5 at first. This is why we're saying the things we're saying and asking the questions. It's too many inconsistencies and it's disgusting. I just had to add that again about the number of people on this boat versus the confusion.
Somebody went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and 3 guys on the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. I mean, we had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do. I mean, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody.
Now let's listen to this detail as he basically tells that Katie said, I didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
That she heard people yelling
correct
for Nolan to get on it. Is
that
true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with no.
And as I said, she said she didn't see nothing in the aspect that she saw them only yelling at him, or not yelling, that they was telling him to get on the boat. But again, you call Javon, you call Mama Christine and the Coast Guard before you even call Miss Katie the night before. You call her the day after you get a restful night of sleep. after what we heard mom and dad went through, going to try to get the keys and get his phone. You weren't there helping them. That's weird to me. They need to stop playing on Nolan life and saying that these was his friends. These were not his friends. And what mom said, she's saying exactly what I used to feel towards, my son. Sometimes you lead with too much love and you believe that other people lead with this love, and that's not how the world works. Everybody's nice. That's a damn lie. And I think Nolan greatly underestimated the people that was around him. Moving forward.
On the whole day at the island, Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah, and so you guys get in the.
And that is not what she said in the text. He's suggesting that she was right there to see him say, I'm not getting on the boat. But if he said, I'm staying with Katie, she would have like, well, he came with me. Why didn't it follow up with that? So she watched him say, no, I'm not going on the boat. I'm going with Katie. And Katie was like, shit, no, you're not. What happened?
Boat, you start to get towed in and you make it back. Now explain how did you get to the point where you were concerned about Nolan? Because obviously you said, hey, Nolan, y'all need to, or somebody, not
when
you,
did I get
but
to that point?
You guys had made mention Nolan need to get on a boat.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Yeah.
You guys.
Now, this is where I think some more orchestration went on. When you listen to his story, he says he went home, ate, took a nap, got back up, went to the party. In the party, he went to the dad of the person who was having the party to talk about boats. And then after that situation or that conversation, he went downstairs and said, where's Nolan? Listen.
You guys get back to wherever you're going.
Right.
Explain that. Did you guys go back to somebody's house, or you guys like what happened there? And then when did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in. I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does. But my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there, because he got the motor to trim down. And the motor trimmed down, my buddy Wyatt pulled the plug, and we planed off. We moved all the weight to the front of the boat so we could plane off. And eventually we planed off, and the boat was running. So when you're planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably.
That's probably why they got to that next location in 5 minutes, because they was hauling ass, teenagers on a boat, no license. Or was it Jerry and Jennifer driving the boat? Huh?
40.
I'm trying to figure it out. They took those people licenses. It's weird.
42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat. So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou, and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water, and Wyatt, the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house, and we ate and napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the island, so we were all tired. And
somebody took a nap because they were stressed out. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. I just gotta add that back to that statement. I'm not trying to blame them, but maybe it's just weird.
Eventually, we go over to a girlfriend of mine. She was having people over for 4th of July. We were doing like fireworks and stuff, so we all went over there to swim and hang out. And
this infamous picture that I've seen online of Nolan in the water in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Where is this picture associated with? Because you said
And I'm going to say this to the Black community and all the great content creators: be very leery of everything that you share. As I mentioned, before you make a move, ask the Holy Spirit. That's what I do. And I didn't really truly believe that picture was him of that night, because that's what they do. They throw some stuff out there to get you moving and going and messing up stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true. So please be careful and leery before you guys run to show stuff, even when you say allegedly, because they're trying to say and do anything to discredit the things that you guys have been bringing to attention. And I'm going to say it was the content creators on YouTube and TikTok. I'm just here putting a timeline together because I'm the legal nursing consultant that could put all the information together. You guys did a great job. I've been sitting back watching, and I'm like, okay, we got to get the most credible stuff. Let's just get this. Let's get that. Let's do this. And that's why I'm here tonight. And again, I probably won't be doing another deep dive for another 2 weeks or until we get some major developments. I'm not a, everyday update. I can't really function like that because my lifestyle, and I'm a Hebrew. I'm not supposed to be in controversy, but I'm a regular person, you know what I'm saying, from the hood. So I'll be trying to find a balance. So I'm here for it today. We'll be here for a little while longer because there's some clips that I want to show you and some concepts that we should be putting in mind and keep pushing forward when it comes to this investigation.
Just went back to swim. Nolan wasn't with you. So where's this picture at? Like, what's the context around that picture that's been floating?
Yeah. A week before the 4th of July, we all went to a friend of ours in Pass Christian. We have a lot of friends from Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian. We all went over there to hang out, and
And Nolan was in that picture.
Nolan was in that picture, and if you look in the picture, my arm is around Nolan in that picture. And I mean, that was a week before the 4th of July, so that picture is not associated within even the same. I mean, that was like a week before, so yeah.
So you guys are now at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean,
I make the eyes. That's the Haitian eyes. Okay. That's what I'm telling on somebody.
I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talking about Nolan, and I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him?
Now, I can't probably show in this live, but possibly because I have some TikTok clips to show you. But allegedly, it was brought to my attention that Nolan's phone was transported in Wyatt's truck. Right.
And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not.
This is where it's at. This week
at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right.
Listen, this is what he said about the phone. Listen.
I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean, I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talking about Nolan, and I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him? And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not freaking out or anything, but like, I'm trying to find out where Nolan is. So I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, and also a couple other buddies that I had at the island. I was like, hey, have y'all seen Nolan? Did he ride in with y'all? And all the buddies were like, no. Well, I texted Javon.
And a couple of other buddies, allegedly. We hear nothing about them, but we hear about Javon.
I was like, hey, can you send me Miss Christine's number? Because I haven't heard from Nolan. And if she hasn't heard from Nolan, then I'm calling the Coast Guard. And
so how are you going to hear from Nolan again when they have his phone in their possession? It's weird.
So eventually, Javon sends me her number.
Who is her? That's
Miss Christine.
Miss Christine is
Nolan's mom.
Nolan's mom. Okay.
Yeah. And
I actually feel bad for Warren. I just felt bad. Something came over me. That's just how I am. This dude They in hot water. These people, something ain't right with this whole situation. And it's just that he looked guilty just then. I feel bad for him. I'm sorry, Warren. I don't know what you're doing, but something ain't right here. It's not. It's not.
I walked down to the dock because I mean there was a lot of people at Ava's, not a lot, but you know there was probably 15 of our friends there, and I was just like walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone with I called Miss Christine, called her the first time, she didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no, and I said, all right, well don't freak out. I'm gonna call the Coast Guard, and this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling the Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like
Now that was a good question. I will say that.
you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life. Stuff happens. People die all the time. I know people that have died out there. And, you know.
So if you knew that people die all the time out there, and the parents, the Epstein parents already know that people get hurt out there, where was the safety mechanisms for real? And you're his best friend. Heck no, I don't even care if I'm not your best friend. I'm Jada coming home. We're all leaving. It's nothing going to be on my conscience. But you know, death is a knocking at Horn Island consistently. We'll figure out a little bit more. We're gonna be doing some more investigation into this Horn Island thing. But yeah, Warren, it's not nice.
It's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right. And Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him, and obviously I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry. I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it, and my buddy be okay, than not, and me not know where he is and him not be okay. And so I called the Coast Guard and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes.
So my question is, why would you call the Coast Guard on the water if you left him on the island and we have rangers that's there? There's some point of contact for the rangers. Wouldn't you call the rangers first and say, hey, you need to do an island search because this boy's not here, highlighting that it was families already, a family at least on the Horn Island that spent the night. That's why we're asking these questions. It's just weird. So that's like a little inclination of you knew where to look for Nolan, the Coast Guard, but not the people who actually looked throughout the whole island that you left him there at, highlighting all that misconstrued timeline and the things he was saying just didn't make sense. That's why we're here. It's weird.
Description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who were we with, what boat we were on, the conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after, and I talked to her, and I said I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and I was thinking worst case scenario. I would way rather be safe than sorry about this,
Yeah, so you called. So it seems like you called mom immediately.
Right.
Probably the first phone call that she got from anybody.
That's the first phone call, at least I've been.
So I'm going to stop this right here because the next live, we'll finish this. And if I find anything significant with the second interview, we're going to bring this up. Because I have just a few more things that I want to show you on TikTok, and we're coming to 3 hours and I'm pushing it. Thank you for being here. But with that goes to say, he said, oh, nobody called Miss Christine to tell her but me. But you called Javon first. So why didn't Javon call Miss Christine to say, hey, Warren just called me, something weird? It's just not right. And I'm going to be honest, I don't like the way Javon presented himself on TMZ. No disrespect. I know his mother was the one that got the phone, but it was just not right for him to say about that situation that it couldn't have been Nolan's voice because it was too close to the recording. what type of an assessment is that? That's why I don't listen to teenagers, because the shit doesn't make sense. I'm like, what? Because it couldn't be him because it was just too close. Do you know Nolan's voice? That's what you should have said. Like, I know my man voice. That's my bro. That wasn't here. Like, so, like, that's not him. You see what I'm saying? So, let's play a few TikTok clips as we start to close off things that I found significant. Let's play this real quick.
Hey, Nolan Wells deniers. Why do you think that his friends told the cops that they didn't know the girl that he went with? Weird how in Warren's little interview he fails to mention that he's.
And again, they did know the girl, because I didn't say they didn't know the girl, but obviously I showed you that they had kind of threw the cops off and gave them another girl name who had nothing to do with it, wasn't on the island. We showed you that.
Spoke with the deputies, and several friends claimed they didn't know the girl he left with. Right here, 1:30 in the morning.
I do apologize. I didn't go over that, but thank God we have this. They didn't know Katie. They didn't know who she was at 1:30 in the morning, after the 11 o'clock debacle that we just went over. It's weird. It's weird.
Even though they were supposed.
And he said, we left him with Katie. We left him with Katie. Did he tell Nolan mom that at 11 o'clock? And then at 1 o'clock, somebody said that we don't know who he was with. That's why we asking these questions.
Texting with Katie, right? Didn't get their story straight. Right here, 1:30 in the morning. Even though they were supposedly texting with Katie, right? Didn't get their story straight yet. Right there, in black and white, the boys lied. Or are we going to pretend that this isn't evidence too?
Go ahead, girl. Let's replace it with the next one. We got a little bit more to show you. Thank you for being here. With Miss Grace, if you don't know who I am, I'm going to always say it. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I am a separatist, and I separate from the BS and the lies. And I tell. And I get people fired who's unhonorable. And I try to be a goody-goody. That's who I am. Go check my background. With that goes to say I can't help it because I'm a Hebrew. Now, let's just watch this real quick. I can't help it. Let's listen to, y'all want to listen to, she has another one too, calling out Nolan Wells gaslighter. Let's see. Hold on. What the hell? What the heezy? What the helly? Sorry, guys. I'm sorry I cursed. I'm tired. Let's just watch this. Thank you for being here with Miss Grace.
I'm not the kind of person that engages in drama, especially when it comes from creator to creator. But when one of my mutuals is out here trying to gaslight people about the Nolan Wells case, on top of insulting my intelligence, well, then I'm gonna have to drag you, honey. Let's just go ahead and read this section of the report together out loud, and then I'll play you her take, and you can tell me if it's full-on gaslighting or not. Approximately 1:38 hours on July 5th, 2026, Carone spoke with Ocean Springs Police Department regarding the complaint and advised that JCO would be taking the lead on the case. Carone also spoke with JCSO Lieutenant Odom, the shift supervisor, who said that they had taken the initial report. He said his deputies had spoken with several friends that traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan, and that when they left, he was in the company of an unknown female, and that he chose to remain on the island.
That doesn't say the boys spoke to the cops at 1 a.m. It says that the two officers spoke to each other at 1:30 in the morning. And then the one officer relayed to the other officer that what the individuals had said at that time.
So this is all I wanted to show you is the gaslighting and the BS that we have to circumvent. And that's why we're here doing what we do, to show the truth behind why people are concerned. So again, pick and choose, guys, who you indulge in, because some people is not even worth your time or your energy. I have this audio from Cito. Let's listen to Judge Mathis talks about his claim and calls out the holes in the story. Let's see how long is this. Let's play a few. Come on. Shout out to the art of dialogue.
Yeah, the friend you referring to is Warren Hudson. He did an interview where he made a comment about how Nolan, he was drinking alcohol on the boat.
Yeah.
Well, they all were. Who are they kidding? Who are they kidding? They all were. I bet it was, even if they had a 12-year-old on the island, he was drinking.
They were all getting hooked up. I'm just being honest. No parental advice, no overseer or nothing. Go get them Epstein parents, y'all. Call them out. What they're gonna do? Defamation? We're not lying. You wasn't there. I know I won't let my kids on a whole island without any supervision, and I got hundreds of thousands of dollars because I'm a judge, a lawyer, a doctor. Not I. I love mine.
So no, yes. So was he. So was everybody. So did everybody drown with bruises on the back of their neck? Did all the people drinking drown with bruises on the back of their neck? How is that relevant then? Unless he fell off, then you got dozens of witnesses seeing him fall off of a boat that is near the dock.
That's correct. Thousands of witnesses.
Because he wasn't on another boat. He stayed behind on the island, perhaps in the dock area.
Yep.
So what's the relevance of him drinking? He didn't get drunk and fall off in the ocean. We do know that.
Allegedly, Judge Mathis, because they were 30 feet when they were over 31 feet of water when they called. And that's the same time that Warren said he was telling Nolan, get on the boat. Was it or wasn't it? Because the story was so convoluted and the timeline was ridiculous. It's hard to determine.
Someone in someone else's boat. So that's no relevance. That's just like saying George Floyd was high.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because that pisses me off. I just got to throw this as a sidebar. I'll be watching Candace Owens sometimes to hear about this Charlie Kirk and watch them eat up each other and all of the psyops. But she burns me when she repeats this ignorant, dumb shit. Excuse me, I have to curse God. I'm sorry about them, George Floyd dying from an overdose. You have to be the dumbest, retardedest person in the world. That's why I said, white America, what are you doing? You are the great leaders of the world, and you're saying the stupidest that doesn't make sense. Nobody can slow overdose, especially not off of fentanyl. It's like a boom, and you're dead. Boom, and you're dead. So George Floyd walked slowly and then had on his neck, and then the fentanyl kicked in. Thank you. I just wanted to say that online one time. Y'all sicken me with the bullshit. It doesn't even make sense half of the shit y'all say. That's why I just stopped responding. But go ahead, Judge, because I just had to address that. Candice, you're supposed to be very smart, even though you don't know you're a Hebrew and you leading people astray. Candice, that was to you. I'm sorry. I'll be watching her and this Charlie Kirk shit, and I just want to see how this psyop gonna work. But she be saying it gets me mad.
Therefore, they had a right to execute him. And so we're saying now, oh, well, Nolan had been drinking. That doesn't give you a right to execute him.
Thank you.
When I say execute him, I mean kill, of course.
Yeah, his friend doubled down that Nolan wanted to stay. He also said that it was common for people to leave their phones on the boat for it won't get water damage.
Let's move to
this.
See about the
I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving.
Okay,
and that
I have another clip from the Cajun Nation. I'm sorry, I keep calling Cajun Nation.
that he might have been trying to swim to it. And
this is why I think this guy is suspect. What are you talking about? The boy is a football player, not a swimmer. Now, I know you already know that black people don't play with the water like that, baby. So he's going to say no to the boat and yes to swimming to catch up with a boat. That's stupid. When it's hundreds of boats, a good amount of boats that we saw all around that island that's leaving. And guess what? One of the boys, Warren, was able to call his mama from the island. And guess what? Nolan couldn't call because he didn't have his phone. Enough service to call his mama, but Nolan couldn't. This is where I say, was this guy a plant? Colin telling pro usually involve them using us, our own boule, black people against us. But this is how they infiltrate our movements and mess up what's going on with us and sending people like this who we think is on our side, but a little suspect. He's sus.
Yeah, I was told that there was a boat he thought he was going to get on that was leaving and that he might have been trying to swim to it. The only problem I have with that story is that if the people in the boat knew he was trying to swim to it and they saw him getting carried off with the current, they would have known about it. They would have been able to react to it. Not only that, even if that wasn't the case, if he went into the water at all and became distressed. It was so crowded that day that it seems hard to believe that nobody would have noticed a distressed swimmer in the water.
And this is how they infiltrate. He's saying something good right here. He's saying something good, but we need to focus in on. But then he said something bad when he said that Brent Crump didn't take his help and this, that, and the third, when that was just a distraction technique. Like, that has nothing to do with nothing. That's why I don't know. I can't really feel where he's at, but this was significant to say. Thank you. How did he get in the water?
So again, it's a story I was told. There's a lot of reasons why I question it. What I do know is that he went out there with a number of boys that has been his regular friend group since he was young. They were ready to leave at about 3 o'clock. They told him it's time to go.
You see, 3 o'clock. Y'all see where I get the 3 o'clock? It's a little ridiculous. 3 o'clock. But then the call went in at 4. And then he was told by, who was it? Wyatt, or was it Damn It Bart? From Wyatt or Damn It Bart? He was told because Grandpa Jerry said to the captain, don't go check on my kids. So it took one of Damn It Bart or Wyatt to come and help. How did Jerry know that they did not need help? Because obviously they were in contact with Jerry before they called Cito.
And
this is where I say some orchestrating went on allegedly with adults. Does that make sense?
Told he had started talking to a young lady and ready to leave at about 3 o'clock. They told him it's time to go. I was told he had started talking to a young lady and he wanted to hang back and keep talking to her, and that he would believe that he could get another ride. Now, some people have been criticizing, saying, "No, you never leave your friend." Well, technically, they didn't leave him. He requested to stay behind, and if you know anything,
and for him to make a definitive statement like that is disgusting. You just ran with it. He said he wanted to stay. Did anybody record that? That's what I'm saying. The others, the ones that's against us like talking about this is what we need to talk about. How do you run with a definitive statement that he wanted to stay just because these people said it? Stop. I don't believe nobody until proven. Show me the facts.
Thing about how these barrier islands are and how they're used recreationally. People go out there on one boat, they might come back on another boat. Like it's almost like a community ferry system, because not everybody has a boat, and you might jump on with another group of friends, whatnot. What we have to find out is, after his friends left, who was Nolan in contact with? Who did he believe he was supposed to
allegedly after his friends left
get a ride back with? Did that boat give him a ride? Did he get on any boat? How did he end up in the water? Did he wade into the water on his own? Did he get on a boat and fall off? That's what we have to find out.
That's what we really need to find out, and that's what I'm questioning. What are they actually going to present? What are they going to present to the grand jury? Not just the autopsy, because they can't make a determination on the autopsy. Is already determined by the pathophysiologist. So what are you showing them? And why is mom and dad not aware of what you have honed in on? Who saw him? What boat did he get on if he stayed there? Did the people who work on the island did a good sweep? What was they login books? They said that these boats had sonar. Definitely they use sonar detection to see. Where is all of the proof? I need some paperwork. I need some definitive stuff here. I honestly.
Those particular islands, you're not allowed to like camp out or be there.
But as you heard, Nolan dad said that a family did camp out
there after dark. And so the rangers, as it gets to be sunset, they start running around looking for, if there's still any boaters or people out there saying, "Hey guys, it's time to go home."
And again, I'm going to highlight, why did Warren didn't call the Rangers first, knowing that he left his friend on the island?
So I would not think that Nolan was just wandering around the island when it got dark. My instinct tells me that he got off the island, either tried to swim off or got off on a boat, and somehow ended up in the water.
I agree.
But
I don't agree
because
with
of the
that.
Rangers' presence, I don't think it's likely that he just like spent the night on the island or was there after dark.
All right, so let's watch another. I don't agree with that totally, but let's just watch this one. Nolan Wells timeline. A few more TikToks and we're getting up out of here. Love you guys. Thank you for being here with Miss Grace. We cooking in the kitchen.
Okay, this is my full Nolan Wells timeline with my supporting evidence. There were 3 boats in their group that day: Palm Beach, the Triton, and the Tideline. By the way,
3 boats. There you go, girl.
if you like my work, you can support me in my bio, because by the end of this video, I'll be dropping never before seen evidence. Anyway, back to the timeline. Warren said they got there at 10:30, even though the GPS said that they dropped their waypoint at 11:19. He said the Tidecraft, the Palm Beach, and the Triton were all like anchored up next to each other. At 3 o'clock, he gets into a fight with some stranger.
Second fight. The second fight. Violence. Epstein kids. I said it.
Who didn't like the way that he was talking to his girlfriend, because, I mean, look at the way he was talking.
Because obviously you're probably verbally abused her with all the abuse you talked about that happened in your childhood, how black people wasn't there for you. He got some psychological issues, allegedly. But yeah, a little aggressive, a little hurt. But we'll listen.
In this interview, I don't blame them. And they had a fist fight. His uncle was like, "We're getting the hell out of here."
I remember at one point in time, I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me to get in the boat. I stopped fighting.
We listening. I'm gonna shut up. Did he just say this boy had a fist fight with his girlfriend? Listen, I'm gonna shut up.
Okay, this is my full Nolan Wells timeline with my supporting evidence. There were 3 boats in their group that day: Palm Beach, the Triton, and the Tideline. By the way, if you like my work, you can support me in my bio, because by the end of this video, I'll be dropping never before seen evidence. Anyway, back to the timeline. Warren said they got there at 10:30, even though the GPS said that they dropped their waypoint at 11:19. He said the Tidecraft, the Palm Beach, and the Triton were all like anchored up next to each other. At 3 o'clock, he gets into a fight with some stranger who didn't like the way that he was talking to his girlfriend. Because
So correct me, I'm getting tired. Some stranger stepped in because he was possibly being a woman beater to check him. Somebody with some common sense was on Epstein Island.
Because, I mean, look at the way he was talking in this interview. I don't blame them. And they had a fist fight. His uncle was like, "We're getting the hell out of here."
I remember at one point in time, I look over and I see my uncle, and my uncle's yelling at me.
Yo, you gotta be a douchebag to get in a fight over your girlfriend that you was trying to beat on. You gotta be a douchebag. You know they douchebags.
To get in the boat, I stopped fighting. As soon as me and him made eye contact, I got an uncle. I got in the boat.
Then Warren says that his brother was also involved in the same fight.
Girl come up to me and say, "Hey,
Who said it was the same fight?
your brother just got in a fight." And obviously, I have a younger brother, and that's what she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline, talked to anybody, put my drink down, and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry.
We have to verify is this the same fight, because I'm thinking it was 3 different fights.
And yeah, there's a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight." And this guy punched me in the face, and I punched him right back. And then went to the ground. My brother put him in an armbar. And Nolan involved in any of this? Absolutely not. When I was
So
there, I was
let me tell you, Ax, your brother got in a fight because of somebody was trying to be a woman beater? Huh? I don't think those are the same fights. So you telling me, Warren, your brother got in a fight because the mixed kid was being a woman beater? Right. I'm confused. I'm just trying to figure this out, y'all.
guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there. Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
So you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is
Leading up to that.
Yeah. So the fight happened. Your brother was scuffled. You know, I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of this situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean,
Boats don't just start sinking because people are getting in and out of the water. I think they were trying to run as well, because there is an underage kid who just got into a physical fist fight on the island. All of them are drinking and driving boats, so they're trying to hightail it out of there. Now, Warren goes into so much detail that he accidentally explains what really happened, but not in the way that he was saying it.
I think over time we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water, so I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater, and so the motor wouldn't turn down. I mean, my buddy would go to turn it down from the console, and it turned down, and then it come right back up.
Now, trimming the motor means they move the propeller closer to the transom and it lowers the bow, which means they can drive through choppy water without risking that choppy water to come into the boat. Failing to trim your boat up and taking off at a high speed can not only overheat very quickly and cause it to shore, but if waves are high, it won't cut through the wake and it will cause the boat to porpoise and possibly have rough, choppy waters get on your boat.
So, I mean, on the way out there, it
Well,
was pretty calm. I think it was
she's saying the move that he made was contraindicating to what he wanted to actually get the water off his boat. The move that he made seemed to possibly put logically what she's saying more water on a boat.
like 3 or 4 knots. I mean, the waters were clear. It was a great day to be on the water. Sunshine, not cloudy at all. And I mean, it was a great day to be out there on 4th of July. And so, I mean, we followed each other out, and I mean, it was calm. It was calm. On the way back, it was a little more rough, but it was not anything on my buddy's boat's going to handle, or like it wasn't like we were getting beat, really beat.
Now, as you can see, it is tilted up here in the back, and look how low the front is. He admitted that they hit choppy water at one point, so
2, 4,
not that hard of a stretch.
Is these the 7 that's on the boat? And who is this right here? You see one person? Is this, I don't know what time this is, but looks like 7 people on this boat.
To think that the water started coming over the boat, and that's when they were in trouble. That's when the bilge pump stopped working. Because Warren, when they claimed that they were leaving and he was jumping into action because it was sinking, he says this.
Maybe disabled to where you could get it out from Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Byron, he was sitting looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge, and the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the water, the access water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any access water just sitting in the boat wasn't getting pumped out. So I looked over the gunnel and I looked at the release hole for the bilge. It was eating with the water.
She put the boat versus the drinks.
So I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well then, eventually, my buddy Bart on the timeline is like, I'm gonna pull you all out.
So Bart is Bart's boat, guys. I've been trying to figure out, is it Wyatt, Bart? It's Bart's boat.
So even though they were still on the island, he jumps out and throws out an anchor. Why did they pull the anchor up to begin with?
I asked the same question, and I'm not even a boat person. You bought an island and you put the anchor out? That's weird. See, common sense, and I know nothing about boats. That's go ahead, girl. Go.
If they were sinking. If they were sinking, why was Bart offering to tow them out? Why would they risk being that close to the island and that close to ground to sink out further? Because again, look at how shallow of water these boats are in. What I suspect is that everybody just hauled ass and left, but because the trim was not going down, it overheated, that stalled out, then the crashing waves were freaking.
And that's probably why they was hauling ass, after the fight. Like, let's get up out of here. And they wasn't operating the boat properly, allegedly, possibly. And that's how the water got into the boat, possibly.
Everybody out. But even Warren couldn't keep his story straight or his timeline straight, because then listen.
All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well then, eventually, my buddy Bart on the timeline is like, I'm gonna pull you all out to where we're out of all this, all this chaos. Because we left at 4:30 and there were still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there.
That's why I see how I highlighted exactly what I was saying. What? Were you over 31 feet of water, or was you at the dock? This little boy was confused. Drugs is bad, allegedly. I don't know what he's using. If he wasn't asleep, he didn't take a nap, or is literally AI that of these kids' brain. He don't make no sense. I'm just thank you, girl, because that's what I was asking earlier in this live. What is this? It doesn't make sense. Shout out to my Haitian Zoes. You know I'm gonna call them out, y'all. They try to deport my people. You know what I'm saying? We be thinking.
I mean, probably around the same amount. It was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people, and I mean, eventually, Bart pulls us out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out.
So he says it right there that Bart pulls them out. They leave at 4:30. And you may be thinking, well, he pulled them after. He towed them after, but...
Out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, Bart's port side cleat, or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow. And so he was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Y called Tito.
We know that phone call was around 4 p.m.
on the phone, and that's his grandfather's boat. And Bart came had the second boat, not came. I don't know. He was around, but we have questions.
To the private towing company. Now, in my last video, I went into detail with the BART, the fight, all of that stuff, the discrepancies between like the neck of water and then suddenly being in 31 feet of water, etc. I'm gonna skip over that. Now, the last data point for the GPS was at about 8 o'clock that night. So then they go over.
That's where we stopped at.
Over to a female friend's house to go to the pool. And yet, instead of joining his friends in the pool,
he went upstairs to talk to the dad about boats and possibly help get a second part of this alibi on how to progress this thing and make it happen. Because the first one allegedly started with Grandpa Jerry. Now this number 2. Who is this guy? The parents.
This is what Warren did.
At a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean,
all right, well, now I got to stop your ass, because what 18-year-old goes to a friend's house to party, all the friends go downstairs to the pool area, and he goes upstairs to talk to her father about boats?
And we're going to stop right there. That has happened to me, not someone coming to talk to me about boats, but a friend of my child coming to me to talk to me because I was the most, openest parent and, to help them in times of trouble. And that's when that conversation possibly happened. We'll watch the rest of this on our next deep dive. There is one more thing that I want to show you, another TikTok video, and then we're going to be closing off. And I want to say thank you so much for being here with Miss Grace. Please hit the like button. I appreciate you. I'm not monetized. I won't be monetized. I went through hell and high water with YouTube. I just want free. Give my people free. I want free like the Haitians. I said what I said. I want to be able to talk and tell a damn truth when it's time to tell the truth, not 2-3 years later after COVID. And now y'all telling people. I'm sorry, that's post-traumatic stress. The last clip that I will show you guys, and we're going to get up out of here, is, hold on one second. There's one more. Damn, we got a lot more to show you, but I'm just going to do this one. I like this guy. He made it make sense.
Folks, to all boaters, to all captains, and all captains know this, all right? Any captain that has any vessel knows if it's docked or cruising or pushed off from the dock and you have occupants on your boat or your vessel, you are responsible for all occupants on your boat.
So Jerry, Jennifer, Eckermanson, which is possibly Bart, and we got a third boat. The owners should have been the operators, and if they was not, and they had teenagers there, they should be going to jail.
If there's any drugs, any alcohol, if there's anything missing for your boat, like flares, buoys, life vests, anything that has regulations from the U.S. Coast Guard as well as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, anything that's missing on your vessel, you are going to jail. It does not matter that captain of that vessel, or even if there's too many occupants on your vessel, you're going to jail. All right. I know they mentioned that water came onto the vessel. That means the boat was overweight. All right. That captain is going to jail. They're not even talking about it.
Exactly. So with that being said, did I cook or did I cook? We coming up to the 3-hour point, and I still got more to show you guys, but I got things to do. I need to take a nap. I got to go to bed. Let me see if I got one more thing to show y'all as far as the TikTok, because I had so much good stuff. Hold on. Things that I wanted y'all guys to focus in on, because we ain't distracted. We ain't distracted with they bullshit. Not at all. Let's see if we got one more. Let's play this, because Bart over there is suing.
Turns out college punter Wyatt Pyron's 80-year-old grandfather, Jerry R. Ackerson, is officially listed right there on the missing person report.
You see, Bart, you're suing people. Can't sue me because guess what? Allegedly. Anyway, I'm not saying anything, out of pocket, but Bart, what you got going on, sir? What you got going on?
Report. When Wyatt's boat was sinking, who did he call first? his granddaddy. And guess what? The grandfather has direct connections to the boating industry. With an 80-year-old family member's name.
Oh, so that's why. That makes sense why the captain would be like, no, don't worry, they good. Because I was like, why would the captain risk his livelihood as a frontline worker for just a random?
Locked into official paperwork and mounting questions about what really happened on the water, the pressure is reaching a boiling point. If local authorities won't connect the dots, internet investigators will. Why is an 80-year-old grandfather's name tied directly to this missing person case?
And we're going to leave it just like that. So with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for being here with Miss Grace. Y'all going to listen to my outro. And I just want to say thank you for giving me your time and attention. Please hit the like button and put this thing on replay. Hold on, y'all. Stop it. Thing getting on my daggone nerves. Let me fix it. I want to do my ending correctly. I said what I said. Let's put this on the screen. Oh, shoot. Yep. You're going to have to listen because this Who Walks with Grace every night. Yada Yashua. Let's go.
Jesus walked. Jesus walked.